All right, so it should be live. Let me just check YouTube over here and see if we're good. So is it good on y'all's end? Because for me, it's saying that it's still waiting.
Let me go check your stream. It's on your channel, right?
Yes.
It looks like it's good.
Okay,
I just checked the
yeah,
channel, says we're good. I think we're good.
It's
Okay, let's do it.
good. It's good. Okay.
We're live.
All right, boys. How you guys doing?
Great to see you guys. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
doing awesome. Hey, thanks for inviting us on the channel. This is a great idea.
Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for
Appreciate
coming.
the idea invite.
This is actually the first time I do a live on my channel since I've ever started this YouTube channel, bro.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So,
I know
the
Alex
first,
does a
bro.
lot of lives.
Yeah,
I've done a couple. There's a different energy. You can feel the energy. Get the comments coming in.
Yeah.
Lives are fun.
Instant feedback, all the above. Read the chat.
For
It's nice,
sure,
man.
bro. For
Yeah.
sure. All right, bro. So officially the first time that we all meet. Like, actually, no, it's not. What am I talking about?
No,
We
had
had
something else going
the
on.
instance where the picture threw us off.
I'm gonna make a full video on that one day, bro. Soon
We
enough.
had the legendary instance. Yeah.
That was.
Let me see if I got the picture, bro.
Does is this video going to be like an actual video after, or is it only a stream?
This is a stream. I think it's recording. I think it records as well.
Okay. So just
I
so
don't
the
think
chat knows,
the camera can get into that, but
yeah. Bro, just so the chat knows, we literally, so us three were in a call with somebody at a health institute. I'm not gonna give too much information. And Angel joined the call with that as his profile picture. And it was a really, really important meeting. We like really struck gold to get into this call. It was like really, top tier. And he joins in like that. And bro, I could not even, I laughed so hard. I blew the meeting for all of us. And I have it all recorded. So I'll give like a full video about the whole topic, bro. It's all because of that
was
picture
hilarious.
right there. Oh my God, man.
It was like 2 years ago. Yeah, Alex was in a tie. We were super professional. And then we just lost it, and then the laughter just got contagious, and and this professional woman, Susan, yeah, she was just like,
yo, she did not break frame.
She stayed.
The whole time.
She must have been thinking what was going on.
Yeah, who the heck?
It's not her first rodeo, bro.
Are they pranking us? Yeah.
You saw that? She's like, these guys are amateurs.
I wonder if she thought we were pranking her.
On my Zoom, I always kept these pictures up as jokes because I was doing the podcast at the time, Three Muslims. And anytime I would come on, I would just have just a random picture on there, just for jokes, or just for laughs. And I completely forgot to take it off that time, bro.
Are you still doing the podcast?
And it froze, and then it wasn't just there, but like froze for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
that was really funny.
And then Alex lost it, and that was great.
All right, bro. So that being said, NoFap. This is it's been a very long time coming. Luke, you said you've been on this for 10 years, a decade now, right?
I made my first NoFap video. I think it was September 2013. So I've been in the game for over a decade.
Bro, I actually saw your video, and I believe at the time his name was Black White Guy in America.
Yeah, Seth Alexander.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
channel name. Yeah,
bro. That's
the OGs, bro. Started the whole wave, I swear, bro.
Yeah, Alex, how about you, bro?
Mine, it must have been about. I recall that I was still in high school. I was a senior in high school. It must have been 2018, around the area. And I think I hit like day 300 or day 365 NoFap. I was super excited. I recorded my video of my channel that basically had like little to no subs, and that just took off immediately. And I was so excited to just keep the ball rolling. Like talk about. I'm realizing this topic, Like, wow, it's not only me that's really struggling with a porn addiction here. It's literally every single man that has a beating heart. Let's keep on talking about it. Keep on raising the awareness of it. And I'm still going. I haven't made a video in quite a long time, but I have made a full video that I gathered all of these studies about pornography, explaining why it's bad and how children are watching it and the effects that it's having on their brain. So that was kind of like the finale, where I gathered literally every single study and put it into one documentary styled video. But yeah, it's been a very long time coming, bro.
That's
Finally,
proper.
yeah,
That's proper, man. God bless. Well, it reminds me of myself too, because for me, I remember actually it was kind of different, but it was more so like once I put this video up, I saw that the traction on the channel just kind of took off. You know, when you're a small channel and you get traction, you're just like, what the hell happened? Like I don't even know what happened.
yeah,
You know?
It struck a chord. This was a needed message. Back when I was 18, there was zero content basically on pee addiction. Semen retention wasn't a thing back then. NoFap, there was like zero. And when I made my first video on it, it took like a lot of vulnerability. It was like, no one's talking about this. And it's like, hey, I think I have a problem with this. I'm going to be honest about it. Like, it took some vulnerability to make that video because no one else on YouTube was talking about it. But I was like, hey, there's something really important here. And this needs to be talked about. It's a big problem with me. And I thought it was a big problem with everyone. And yeah, my first video got a lot of views on it too. So now the youth it's kind of a double-edged sword. So now technology is so much more ingrained in our lives that I really feel for the youth that at least there's lots of resources, at least there's lots of people talking about this and providing solutions, sharing their journey and what's worked. But back in the day, there was like nothing, for all the people who got sucked into a pee addiction. It's like one message I give to people is it's not your fault. It's like you had like minimal guidance about how addicting this was, or, how powerful it affects the dopamine receptors and how to stop it. There was like no guidance back in the day,
good point. Yeah, nothing really there.
I have a question for both of you though. What was y'all's intention, like going into it? When you right before you made that first video, what was y'all's intention with even putting this up?
Well,
You can go first, Luke.
Sure, yeah. Well, my intention was it was like, hey, I saw this website, Your Brain on P. I saw this new subreddit, NoFap. I think they're onto something, and I have a problem with this, and I want to try to do 90 days and see what happens. And so my intention was twofold. One was to raise awareness about this and help people because it was a problem for me, and I was sure it was a problem for lots of guys. And also just making that video, one of my intentions was just talking about it publicly. That gave me more accountability to be strong with this. I was like, in 3 months, I want to come back with a video saying, hey, I did 90 days clean, which is one big message I like to give people. Just the more you talk about NoFap, the more you talk about these goals, have an accountability partner with your friends, you guys making YouTube videos about it, just talking about it's kind of just a liberating feeling because lots of guys are looking at pee, they don't tell their friends, they don't talk about it. It's something they do alone. Do behind closed and locked doors. So, one thing is just accountability, social support is I found to be very powerful on this journey. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, it's a very, very solid point. I'm not going to lie. I was something very similar. Honestly, I came across your videos really early on. I must have been 14 years old, 2013, around the area. Wow. And bro, I'll never forget. I saw your video. You were on a beach somewhere talking, like in public, or it was something like that. I'm not sure if I'm recalling properly. And I think that was like the first time I seen somebody talking about abstaining from watching pee online for the first time ever. Like, it was always an issue behind closed doors, but the first time those doors opened and the curtains kind of pulled back, I saw your video. I'm like, there's no way someone's also talking about this. So I saw your video. I sent it to all my friends. I sent it to my older brother too by accident, actually. That's why I didn't forget. And I was like so scared because I was 14 and he was much older than I was. And I was like, bro, check out this guy's sick video talking about why watching porn is bad. And me and him haven't really had that kind of like talk yet at that point. And I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. But it turned out to be good, actually. It was a good thing that I actually did that. And
Yeah.
that's why I haven't forgotten sending your video. So that was the first time it was still fresh in my mind. When I realized that there's an actual push to try to get people to end this addiction, and it's not just a thing that happens behind closed doors. I started to ask my friends. We all grew up in semi-religious households. We all kind of knew just intrinsically that it's bad to be watching this stuff online. We didn't like how we felt after. It was very minimal knowledge that we had on it, but we all knew that we wanted to stop. That's for sure. So ages 14 to about age 18 or 17, my friends and I would literally set up challenges. Like we would text in a group chat, or I'd see them at school like, hey, the first one to break their streak, let's start me, you, and you. The first one to break our streak has to go and donate $15 to the poor. And we're like, okay, let's go. So my one friend broke the streak like 3 days after. I broke the streak, I think like 17 days after, and I was literally going to war all day long, like punching my pillow. I was literally like, it was the hardest thing ever. And then so I broke my streak second, and then my friend broke it on day like 23 or 25. And that really like shocked me. I realized, wow, there's a problem here. I can't go that long without watching these videos. Like that's I'm actually addicted, and it's that much of an issue in my life. It's overtaking my mind really. It's hard to not think about it. It's ingrained in me. It ruins the quality of my life, the happiness of my life. I mean, people try to downplay it online and say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Everyone does it. I don't even know how to formulate an argument against such an idiotic claim. We ended up trying and getting longer streaks. A few of my friends, some got to day 30, day 50. I got to 300 plus days in high school, if I'm not mistaken. And I realized, like, look, I think I found out a few things about myself. I've taken some notes along the way. I think I can make a video, share it with people. And because it's such a taboo topic that has to be talked about, the supply and demand was like drastically different. There was so much demand and so little supply. Only a few guys that had the testicular fortitude to go and speak about this, like Luke himself. We're actually talking about it. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to join it. It might be awkward if my parents find out or my teachers find out, but I'm going to do it. And by the way, all my teachers in high school found out, which is actually a great thing.
That's beautiful, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, before I upload my video, I was thinking that my parents are going to see this, my friends are going to see this, like and then especially once it starts getting tons of views too. But it's actually like a very empowering thing, because it's like this needs to be talked about. Why is this taboo? It's like everyone's doing it behind closed doors. It's like and then just having people know that you're talking about it gives you more kind of accountability to be strong about it too. It's like this anything that's taboo, the more you shine light on it, shine light on that shadow, the less power the shadow has over you.
Yeah,
that's a very good point.
That's very true. See, I think that's something that people don't really realize is the power of accountability. Right? A lot of these people on YouTube, they try to take it on by themselves, and they think that, oh, it's just going to take care of it, and then that's it. I don't really have to worry about this. But you don't realize that it's you against you when you're doing this. And the you that you're going against is one that has no discipline, one that has been partaking in this behavior for how long? 10 years, 15 years, some people 30, some people 40. I've had people that were in their 50s come at me trying to ask for help to be able to quit this addiction. So when you have that accountability, that holds you to a different light. Like when like you're doing it with someone else and they're also trying to abstain, it's like that puts you in a different frame where you're like, okay, well now it's not just me. Now I have to say everything to this guy as well. And for me, when it was coming on YouTube, I can't say it was the same as y'all. I didn't really have accountability partners at that time, but it was more so I was doing things in my life very degenerately. And I realized like I have an issue, and I'm not gonna get into like the crazy details. It's like what issue I had. But I remember searching up Google, and you know how like everybody just ends up on Reddit. Like you're looking up for how to fix something in your life, and just I don't know where you're on Reddit. Reddit has all the answers apparently. So I was looking on Reddit, and I had seen something that said that pornography causes XYZ. I was like, huh, maybe that's true. So I started looking more. I found the website that you just said, Luke, Your Brain on Porn. And I started watching the videos that they had, reading the articles, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't hurt to try it, bro. Like 3 days later, very difficult, bro. Very difficult. But 3 days later, the issue that I had was like 70% gone. And that's when that's when it hit me. I was like, yo, like there's actually something here. And I remember I kept failing over and over and over and over and over again. Which, bro, Alex, I want to know how you ended up getting to over 300 and something days before you actually got onto YouTube saying all this. Because for me, the
That's
biggest,
impressive.
yeah, I know, bro. Allahumma barik. May God continue
Allah
to
barik
increase
fik,
you with
thank you,
that.
man.
The thing that did it for me was when I started uploading on YouTube, because that created a huge accountability factor. Because now
Yeah.
it's like, bro, you're putting it out there for everyone to see. If you go back, you're a hypocrite.
Exactly. Yeah, that's some weight on your shoulders. It's positive. It's positive, but it's pretty heavy because now we're like the average person. I started off. I had my two friends, right? We would just talk about it, just us three. We're very very close friends. Then now I'm talking about it publicly to over 5 to 10 million people. It's a whole different ballgame there. So if I were to go back on it and then break my streak, that would be rough. And which I actually did ended up breaking it on like way after that. But it's a pressure that kind of builds on you. But it does teach you a lot. I ended up getting to I think it was 300 days NoFap before I graduated high school and before I started making videos on it. The honestly, bro, I recall one specific moment. So I was trying to break the streak since I was like 13, 14, before I even entered high school. And it was always a problem. I think I stumbled across porn and I was 10 years old. And I stumbled across at 10 years old. All my friends did around the same exact age, some even younger than I was. And by age maybe 16, 17, I realized like, what the hell is going on, bro? We can't keep on acting like this is a little challenge. Like, oh, I'll stop. Let's go 30 days fail. 30 days. I couldn't live a life like that no more. Like it really, really hit me hard. One night I was sitting by myself, and I think that was like the last time of that streak that I actually watched it and then broke my streak. And then I just sat down and then I really started to have this like deep introspective, like mind blowing moment where I said, wow, I'm really a slave to pornography. Like point blank, we have to not sugarcoat it. I'm a slave. I think I have free will. I can do this, I can do that, I can work out and get good grades or go to school and do all this. No, nothing has more control over my mind than not myself, but pornography. That literally is like my master. God forbid. And that's honestly where I was. If we're looking like talking action only, my actions were really speaking louder than my words. And when that really hit me and I felt that I wasn't a free man, like I started to get like watery eyed and like very, very like very emotional. Because I realized, bro, I was literally born free to think how I want and act how I want and be the best version of
And
myself and
here
find the
you are
truth.
watching pornography and
And I'm
being
and
off
I'm
to other
16 years
people.
old slave. And not only did I just become a slave, I've been one for the last 6, 7 years. And when I felt that, like it's taken up almost half of my life, almost, and bro, I'm literally 16. It took up almost half of my entire life, and I'm literally like in full submission to it. It terrified me, and like I was shocked out of my soul. Like I was shocked that there's no way this is actually how I'm going to live the rest of my life. I'm not gonna have it. Like there's no way I will live a life like that. I'd rather be like not living, right? And then that's when I kind of like woke up to it. I was shocked, and I said, I'm not going back to this.
So that's when you realized that pornography was a bad thing, or you realized earlier than this?
I realized earlier, like you do it, and then you feel bad. Just kind of like drinking, like Coke and Pepsi and stuff like that. Oh, it's so much sugar, it's bad for you. Oh, it's okay. Let's go to the gym tomorrow and then call it a day. Go for a little walk. Only like 50 grams of sugar, which is pretty bad. People kind of give it that connotation, right? But usually, if you have a piece of a birthday cake or some chips and candy or a drink, it's not the biggest deal ever because you just don't. It's not like you're doing it every single day compulsively multiple times a day unless you get to that level. With pornography, that's how deep it was. So I was like, I'm not gonna compare it to me like breaking my diet or having like a little like candy. It's way worse than that because I can't stop myself, and it's happening daily, multiple times a day too. So that's when I realized the magnitude of how significant it actually was. Everyone tells you, bro. My I think it was my like sixth grade gym teacher, Muslim guy too. He was a Muslim, and one of the kids, he was like during little like a health class he was hosting before we played basketball. He would just have us sit down and ask questions about health and growing and stuff like that. And then one kid, I'm very proud of him, a very close friend of mine back then. He asked the teacher in front of the whole class of like 12-year-old kids, "Listen, Mister, is it bad, to like masturbate and to watch those like videos online? Because like I see myself doing it every now and then, and I'm not really sure if I should be worried or not. Like, is it bad according to like science, right?" And when he asked that question, to my surprise, people didn't really laugh. They were like, Wow, that's actually a solid question because I have the issue too. And I watched my whole class get captivated by that question. Seemingly simple. And this Muslim teacher said, it's no problem. It's no issue. It's normal. Everybody does it. As long, and literally word for word, verbatim, he said something like, as long as you're not waiting for the second to go home so that you can do it every day, it's no issue. And I can just think, I was influenced by him. He was like 30 years old. We were all 12. This is a smart guy. He's a teacher. The whole class of 30 kids, young men, probably went down the deepest paths of their life because of that one horrible piece of advice from a religious person that's also a gym teacher. And I'm thinking, man, if this misinformation can seep its way into even our middle schools, God help us for the rest of our whole life, bro. So that's when I realized it was it started off being bad, but obviously didn't know the full magnitude until I turned about 16 years old.
And on hell, you had a like in our call we had with that researcher 2 years ago. I remember you mentioned, and we all burst out laughing again, that you did it like 16 times in a day or something. It sounds like yours was quite bad, but
that was terrible, bro. Bro, I was talking the entire time. Bro, actually, bro, I really want to ask this question, okay? Alex, you've been Muslim your entire life.
Social Muslim for the first
yeah, but it's like later on you started practicing more.
Yeah.
Luke, yourself, would you say I know you at one point I saw your videos and you were spiritual, but were you born like Christian? Were you born without really any religion, agnostic?
Yeah, I was born and raised Christian, but my parents were, I guess, kind of relaxed Christian. Just God is love, focus on being focus on following Jesus's message. You know, it was, I guess, relaxed, but also focus on like being a real follower of Christ, not dogmatic. Yeah,
Got you. So, bro, I was not really anything when I was doing this stuff. I was like, I guess you say atheist. You know, I kind of believe in God, but not really. Like, I hit a really hard wall. So now I want to know, like, how did that impact y'all's journey?
I remember when the first couple of times. It's interesting, Alex, that you started at like 8 or something. It sounds like that's young, and that's quite common with lots of people I've talked to. Mm-hmm. For me, I started a little later, maybe 13 or something. Mm-hmm. But I remember the very first time I stumbled upon it, I did have a feeling something isn't right here. Like this isn't, and not that like it wasn't like wrong as in God would judge me for it, but wrong as in like this isn't what is healthy for the soul. Like there's something kind of dirty or toxic about this, that there's something sacred about sexuality, that there's something beautiful about this, that sexuality in its healthy form should be based on love. And here I am. And as most people know, most of the videos on these websites are quite degenerate. You know, it's not loving sexual stuff. And you know, some people make the argument about porn, oh, that's just religious guilt, that's just, you know, it's natural, it's healthy. But you know, I have atheist friends who have said the same thing, that this just isn't natural, this isn't healthy for the soul or the spirit. You know, it's and then lots of science has backed it up, you know, but it's for me at an early age, I felt there's something wrong here. But the interesting thing is, because as Alex was saying, there's no guidance about this. It's really interesting how after several years, but when I was 17 or 18, 19, I thought it was a normal thing. Like you get desensitized to that internal conscience of, hey, something is wrong here, and it becomes normal. All your friends are doing it. Everyone at school is doing it. You start to get desensitized to that inner voice saying, maybe you shouldn't do this. And once that inner voice starts coming in, it's like too late. You know, you're addicted. That's interesting, your background. So you grew up atheist, Angel, and at what point did you, when you first stumbled up porn, did you have a feeling something's wrong here, or did it feel normal to you?
That's the thing, bro. Is for myself, I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Interesting.
All the people I was around, like, they were all doing it, my cousin would come over, we would watch it together, not like some crazy stuff, but and it's very shameful to even say that, but it's just to show the reality of what life was back then when you have no morals, you have no accountability for
Interesting.
anything, right? And for me, that's why I was doing it so much, right? And man, it's not till I started getting later on in the journey because you know my whole spiritual journey has been a very very long drawn out process, bro. But uh, throughout that time, I would experience a lot of success, but it's almost like it wasn't full recovery. It was just being in a state of remission. Do you know what remission is?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
healing going
temporary
back.
healing, and then it.
Exactly. It's like if someone has
Yeah,
cancer, they're in a state of remission. It means they could easily have the cancer come back.
yeah.
That's how I felt, bro. Like 1 year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed. I still felt like it was right there. Like anything could just cause me to fall back in and then go back into the spiral that I was back then. And I felt like I was just right there at the edge. Every single day was at the edge. And I'd say that it wasn't until I really started to practice religion that I got out of that state and got to the real reality where it's like, okay, let me pause for a second. Do you guys have ADD, ADHD? Would you guys say you have this?
I've been diagnosed. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so I'm
think
I'm
maybe
gonna
a little
throw
bit growing
I'm gonna
up.
throw a hard theory out here, and
Let's hear
everyone
it.
is welcome to try this out to test it out. I have a theory that every single person who has an addiction, not just watching pornography, but has an addiction, any kind of addiction, they have some form of ADD, ADHD. Because what is ADD, ADHD? ADD, ADHD is when the brain has less dopamine than the regular person,
Mm.
right? So we seek more dopamine. We need more things in order for us to be normal. And this is why we become addicted to things because the things that we become addicted to, they're our source of dopamine. Now,
Stimulates the brain. Yeah.
exactly. Now, pornography is one of those things that's very easy. It's very easy for us to click on it, bust one real quick, and we just got an instant shot of dopamine that might I add we would have never had this before. If we were living back in the day, we were out in nature, we had tribes, we no TV, no cars, no houses. We weren't gonna see like 20,000 women in a matter of 30 minutes or in 1 hour. We would have been lucky to have like 5 women in our entire lifetime, if not two, in our entire lifetime. So this
Yep.
unnatural burst of dopamine, it makes sense that okay, every single person who has an addiction has ADD, ADHD. So now with that being said, think about this, bro. When you were at school and they gave you a project or a test, did you start studying or doing the project right when they gave it to you? Or did you wait until the very last minute?
The last minute.
Yeah, I was always the last minute. I was actually voted most likely to be late to graduation because I was just late all the time. Like my brain was just low dopamine. I would need that excitement to feel
Bro,
Mm.
normal.
you
Wow.
get it, right? So it's
Yeah,
aligning now. And the thing is, why do we do that? Because what you just said, it creates the dopamine rush for us. That's why we do that. We don't wait. We don't do it little by little because, bro, little by little doesn't give us enough dopamine. So now think about someone who has an addiction. They're trying to quit. And every time they try to quit, they remove this thing that's giving them so much dopamine in their lives. And then now they have this void. They don't have enough
yeah,
dopamine. So what ends up happening? Eventually the urges come back and then they end up succumbing. They end up relapsing. Or if they just keep trying to fight it off for the rest of their lives, bro, they're just constantly at the edge. They're constantly in a state
yep,
of remission. They could fall back at any point because the dopamine has not been taken care of. And you could think, okay, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do this over here. I'm gonna do martial arts. I'm gonna do extreme sports. I'm gonna do things that give me dopamine in my life. But bro, it's what I realized is when I started practicing religion, when you believe in something that's higher than you, and you have that higher level of accountability, and you know that every action you do is being watched. Everything you do, you're being held accountable for it. Well, it puts you at a different level. And for myself, I found that when I put everything on the line, that's when the change came. That's when like the real healing came, because if you wait until last minute to take a test, to study for the test, you're basically putting everything on the line, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's a very good
Yeah.
comparison there.
So this, look, I just want to, it's a test. Everyone could test it for themselves, but I want to know what worked for y'all to be able to make that disconnect and finally free yourselves completely.
Man, that's
Yeah,
a good comparison. Go for it.
yeah, that's a great metaphor, and it's porn's a super stimulus. It definitely provides that dopamine. And but one extra very tricky thing about it is my addiction got so bad that I went to a therapist to help me out, and that helped me out a ton. And one thing the therapist told me on our very first session was that he had clients who had overcome hard substance abuse, hard drug addictions, but who were still hooked on porn. And he said the main reason for this is P taps into our natural desire, our sexuality, which is our biggest biological drive. So not only is it a super stimulus, but also taps into our biggest biological drive. You know, there is no natural drive for hard substances, but sexuality is this natural, very powerful drive. And that's not only is it a super stimulus, not only is it tapping into this natural drive of ours, not only is there infinite accessibility, not only is it free, not only can you do it in your room, you don't need to go to the store. You know, there's all these factors which make it one of the most, which makes it an extremely addicting thing. And then if you have ADD on top of that, you know, it's powerful stuff. I liked what you were saying a lot about how you were able to fill that void or that emptiness with God, and that's definitely been true for my journey as well. And you know that's also consistent with, you know, how alcoholics often handle their alcoholism with the 12-step group. You know, one of the tenets of the 12-step group is to kind of to realize you're not going to beat this on your own, and surrender to a higher power of your own understanding. And you know, people talk about having spiritual experiences, you know, when they realize, hey, I can't solve this on with my own willpower, I can't do this alone. Is there something, can I seek support and guidance from something greater than me? And in my own life, you know, I've had some powerful synchronicities. I feel like I had an angel visit me in a dream once. I've had these experiences which have shown me that there's something much deeper and more profound and infinitely more beautiful and marvelous than the cheap thrills of pornography. You know, it feels so, it almost like shifted, where rather than the P being so stimulating, it started to feel like empty, and it was more trying to live a life of beauty and love and courage and truth, and devoting myself to trying to help people, you know, and devoting myself to how would I think God would want me to live. It does feel like things in my life more started to fall into place. So
Yeah,
I'd be curious, you know, how when you more put focus on God, what how did that practically help your life? And I'm curious your thoughts too, Alex.
Yeah, I want to, before I forget, talk about. I think Eghal was talking about how the comparison of like ADHD and the low dopamine, and then needing that very quick fix for all things, and comparing it to like stuff in school and school projects. Man, I had a really big issue in school with being able to not focus on basically anything my teacher was saying ever throughout basically my entire schooling life. I never found it interesting, and only if I did find it interesting, I was able to really lock in and focus and exceed at that certain thing. So I realized, and man, that's a great theory. It seems like it's an absolute fact. I would love to see some more science and research about
I would love to
ADHD and like
test it,
certain
bro.
addictions. And yeah, people that are watching this can actually try that out on themselves and give their feedback. That'd be great for us to understand more. I was thinking, yeah, man, when I was on my very strong streak of NoFap, at least at the very start of it, it really was around the same time, like within very close proximity to when I realized, holy shit, I'm a senior in high school. I'm about to graduate soon, and I don't want to go to college, and I want to be a YouTuber. and like I have to act fast because if I don't, I'm gonna have to end up going to college and going to find a job that I don't want to do for the rest of my life. So that's when there was a fire lit under my ass and I had to really go and start running, right? And that's also when I was on NoFap successfully for 200-300 days before I even graduated. So that
Oh,
moment of like, hey, it's your time now. The pressure is really on. If you want to become a YouTuber as bad as you say you do, at least at least stop being a slave to pornography first. How could you become
mhm.
successful in this field of life if you're literally if your master is not going to let you? And that's on the same kind of time where I had this realization. Well, I want success, but I'm literally a slave to pornography. Like these things do not go hand in hand. So I had to break those chains. And when the moment was like time to shine, that it's a great point that you made there too, man. Um, Also to add, I think sorry, Luke, you asked me about my journey as far as like God being more God conscious and how that helped me out as far as NoFap goes.
Yeah.
Um, so I made a video recently talking about how like people on NoFap they have this they have good intentions when starting it off, like they want to stop their addiction and that's great, but there has to be a more long term end goal. I think Angel understands what I'm saying, where like you, if you're gonna just not fap and not watch porn, really it's a the end goal. I think in my opinion, the best end goal is to look for a wife and to actually get married and start a family, because look, these are natural desires that we have, right? No one's telling you to just fully suppress that and don't get married and don't create children
We
and stuff like
should
that.
we should preface that by saying they should probably get closer to God, start following some kind of religion, and then look into religion or not religion, marriage within that religion. Because
Exactly.
if you get married outside of religion, like good luck.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I was gonna
Marriage is
also
a
mention,
big decision, biggest decision
yeah,
of your
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
yeah, and it's if like especially getting into religion before getting married, it's important because it gives you that objective morality that it really encompasses everything that you do daily. You're drinking water, for an example, and you're thinking about how God has blessed you so that you can drink this water. Like even something to that simple of an idea. Now, actually being married, if you're doing it for the sake of God, to actually please God, to have a good, strong family that's going to be in good and stuff like that, that's a great foundation for the marriage. And I think the fact that a lot of the NoFap community and people online talking about not masturbating, I think Angel, you touched on this a while back, but it kind of falls in line with like Buddhism in a sense, where it's this new age woke spiritualism kind of thing. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I fell into that too on my earlier parts of the journey before I was really practicing Islam, at least strong. Yeah, it was more of like it was more just like vague terms, not really understanding why we're really here and what our actual purpose is, and we're just trying to find the higher power or
mm,
be the best version of yourself and hear that inner voice. But really, you can tell yourself that. But what are these things? What is this higher power that's so vague and that's this undefined deity that you don't really know how to communicate with or talk to? Like, does it even actually exist? And I think when I told a lot of people that I follow a certain religion, I got a few comments on my channel saying, "Damn, bro, I thought you were spiritual,
I thought
right?
you were woke.
I
Thought
thought
you
you were
were
woke,
woke,
bro.
bro.
Oh, so you just follow a certain religion, huh? Damn, thought you're one of us." Like, wait, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're following a religion too, buddy. It's right. It's
Uh,
very strange, man. It seems like it's a fork of Buddhism in that sense, where like something about chakras and the sexual energy and the. I'm not really too sure of what
semen
it is. If you want
retention.
to elaborate some more, I think you might know more about it than I do.
Yeah, no, okay, so a lot of people they don't want to practice religion. Fair enough. I've been in that place. I understand what it's like where you look at it and you're like, ah, religion just this is just meant to control people.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, but it's like this. Let's say you're setting out to build a business. It's your first time building a business. You have no idea what it is that you're doing. You don't even know where to start. The resources you have are very limited to you. How far can you get? Especially if you try to do it all by yourself and accept no help from anyone else. Not very far. Right? You might get some done, but not very far. Now, if you accept help from other people, well, now you get further. But now, if I gave you every single step, of how to develop this business, how to make sure it's successful, how to scale the business, how to profit from it. Or you get way further. Actually, you'd complete it. You complete the mission. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So that's the whole purpose of religion, is to allow you to complete your mission here on this earth. It's allowing you to live life understanding exactly why the hell you're here, what was before and what's coming after, and what the hell this thing that everyone's been talking about since you've been a little kid called God is. Right? And the way I like to put it is, if you are trying to do NoFap, you're trying to overcome this thing. It's not to say you can't get far. It's not to say that you can't get like 3 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years without relapsing. You can do this, but it's like I said, you will constantly be at the edge. You will constantly be just one step away from relapsing. Why? Bro, there's nothing in between you and going and watching this. Some people will say, I had some atheists talk to me and they were like, oh, but it's I'm a man of my word. And I said that I'm never gonna relapse and I would never go against myself. I'm like, okay. That's it's good in theory, but how long are you gonna do that? What about 20 years from now? Right? Like I asked him, I was like, when you were 10 years old, did you wear like a Buzz Lightyear shirt? And he was like, yeah. And it's like, okay, how old are you now? He's like 25. I was like, okay, why don't you wear that Buzz Lightyear shirt now? He's like, oh, what does that have to do? I'm like, bro, your mind changes. Who you are changes, bro. Every 10 years, all the cells in our body are completely different. We're a completely different person every 10 years. How can you say, oh, I'm a man of my word, I'm never going to go back, and then, what, 20, 30, 40 years, you're telling me you're not going to have a moment of weakness? Like, you can't be so delusional to think that you're not going to have a moment of weakness. Maybe you're sleep deprived. Maybe you have something bad in your life happening.
You could be clean 99% of the time, but a couple times a year, there's going to be a worst day of the year where
exactly.
it goes crazy. You have every year, there's a worst day of the year where what are you going to rely on? What are you going to fall back on?
Exactly.
And God is the only constant in the universe, in creation. In my opinion, that's the only constant that you could eternally rely on.
Yep. And now to bring it all together, someone wants to ask, well, okay, well, what does it matter? Like, what does it matter if you believe in God now? Bro, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story, actually. And I'll kind of omit some details because, we shouldn't reveal everything in the past. But I had 2 situations in my life. The first situation, I was very atheist. Didn't believe in God whatsoever. Second situation, I was starting to believe in God. Okay? In these situations, I remember I got to rock bottom. I was relapsing. Or actually, the first situation, I was relapsing so bad. And the second situation, I wasn't relapsing, but I kept peaking. I kept looking and putting myself in those situations where it's like, bro, you're only like one step away from relapsing.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know what it is, right? So the first situation, I remember I got to rock bottom and I asked God, bro, I didn't even know what I was doing. And I was like, I just said out loud, I was like, if I go back, just take everything away from me. Take away the girl that I was with, take away my health, take away the money, take away my job, take away my friends, take away everything. Bro, can you guys guess what happened? Just guess what happened.
You lost it all?
Bro, I ended up going back. And as soon as I went back, I remembered what I said. And I was like, it's nothing. Girl ended up cheating on me. I got fired from my job. I got sick, lost all my muscles in a matter of like 2-3 months. Had no more money. All my friends just stopped hitting me up. Everything was stripped away. And I had no idea, bro. I was like, what the hell is going on, bro? I was playing the victim card when I know damn well what was going on. That was situation number 1, bro. Situation number 1. Now, fast forward, like a year and a half, 2 years, I'm over here doing the YouTube stuff, helping people out, sharing my journey. But then here I am, finding myself peaking. And this was maybe like 2017, I want to say. And I got to the same point. I wasn't relapsing, but I got to a point where I was so down being in that situation. I felt like a hypocrite inside. So at that point, I did the same thing. Now I believed in God to an extent. And I said, God, if I go back, just this woman that I have, that I'm with, just take it away. Strip it away from me. Can y'all guess what happened?
You lost it.
Yeah, bro. I ended up going back. As I was going back and doing the same thing that I said I wasn't going to do, I had it in my head like, you said this, right? And it's like my mind, I had two voices like trying to justify. One was trying to justify peaking, and the other one was trying to justify, like, no, it's you said this, you have to hold your word, you have to not do this. Ended up peak, then everything with this girl ended up just completely just got cut off. And I remember that put me in a very low place, and it put me in the lowest place because I knew, bro. I started to believe in God, and I knew that it was my fault that it all just got cut off and ended. And so now, at this point that I am in my life, I know how real this is. I know that this thing called God is real, and I know that it's not something you play around with. So if you're saying, God, if I go back, take everything away, and you list things that are super important to you, bro, you're putting everything on the line. Now, anytime that something comes up, if you know 100% without a doubt, why would you even give it 1 second in your mind? If you know that the moment that you go back, it's going to be stripped away from you. Like, I have real-time experience, but it's like that saying goes, smart men learn from their own mistakes, and wise men learn from the mistakes of others.
Wow, man, that's a test right there.
Yeah. That's what I would say. That's why I would say God and religion is something that's very, very like a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, man. One thing that I realized recently was that, see how in the Quran God tells us to lower our gaze, right? And so what I realized was that people that actually want to stop their addiction, if you want to follow that advice, lowering your gaze from the stuff that's not permissible for you to look at or touch or even act on, right? And if we're just gonna go ahead and just take God's advice on that one matter by itself, bro, look, I'll be honest. Even till this day, I haven't watched porn in a super, super, super long time. If I think about it, I can still think back about the stuff that I saw that was ingrained in my mind as a 10-year-old kid. Right? Those videos, you're literally thinking that you're just watching it and it's gonna be over. Once the phone turns off, you're back to being a clean slate. But those videos literally why porn is so unique as an issue, as an addiction, is that it can be ingrained in your mind. Unlike an actual drug where you have to go and gather the actual substance from a store or from some sort of alley in the middle of the hood, porn can be stored in the back of your memory, and then whenever you need a quick dopamine shot, you can re-access it and replay it in your mind. And that's why it's super, super dangerous. So if you want to stop craving it, you have to first off stop looking at it, even peeking at it. And not only pornography, you have to take it to the next level. And this is what I've been doing for a pretty good time now, probably like 1 year, is lowering my gaze when it comes to even attractive women on TV, in real life, any of that matter, right? In Islam, obviously, we have like certain guidelines on how we can speak to a woman. It has to be in public, it can't be in private, all of these rules. But at the same time too, if there's a girl that's like adorning herself and she looks very attractive to you, right? And they can put some like negative thoughts in your head, we're not even able to like look at her and make direct eye contact and have like a full-on conversation like that. Like, there's rules. We have to literally look down, right? And we have to lower our gaze from what is not permissible for us. So I've been doing that in real life too, trying to the best of my ability. It's not too easy, especially living in America where everyone tries to go and dress naked because of the Western society. You're basically walking, looking down the whole time. But I realized that as I'm doing that, there's a girl trying to get my attention or be dressed in a very provocative way that's in the same vicinity as me. I make it a point to myself. I put it in my heart. I know that for a fact God is watching me every single second. God is watching me. So I'm not going to do it for me always, because I'm not always the best person. I don't always make the correct choices. My judgment isn't always perfect, even though I try to say it is a better part of the time. I'm not perfect. But I know for a fact that God's watching me. And I do it with the intention of pleasing God. And I think that's very important for your atheist friend that was telling you, I'm a man of my word. Okay? When all of the cells in your body change, like you were saying, and you're basically a brand new human being because all you are is just like a clump of cells and the soul doesn't even exist, right? No problem. Once you change to a whole new brand new person, you say, you know what, porn's fine. Well, then your basically your word is gone. But when you have a God watching you 24/7, it's objective. He's always watching you. He's not changing. He's not going to turn his eye. He's always constantly knowing and seeing everything. Then you know for a fact this is not a game. That you're not just playing around here. It's not some sort of little cute internet challenge that you find on like Reddit or some of these sites. This is a serious matter because God's going to hold you to it. So when you lower your gaze, even for the small things, really attractive girl in the same vicinity as you or in public or wherever it is, and a girl's barely dressed, you're at a shopping store, instead of taking a glance and then looking at her, which can spark all of those thoughts that have been ingrained in your mind from pornography, going to the gym even, the worst of all places. I literally, by the way, stopped going to the gym and I work out at my own house now for that reason alone, because of the people there that I can't be looking at.
Dedication.
Yeah, man. I realized I'm a healthier
You gotta
person.
do what it takes.
I'm a healthier person, yeah, man. Working out, doing some push-ups and sit-ups and calisthenics at my house than I am lifting a bench press when there's 1,000 naked girls near me. I'm much stronger mentally, physically. I have less problems thinking about pornography all day long. I'm overall more at peace. I'm healthier in every single way. So it's a better option for me to not go to the gym. I literally canceled my membership. I don't go anymore.
Well, there's an excuse that a lot of men say. They're like, oh, but in the gym, the women, you know, they dress a certain way, they're provocative, and it increases your testosterone because you're looking at them and you want to perform for these women. But bro, it's like, if you want testosterone, just go to like a sport specific gym, like a powerlifting gym, and you tell me if you're not gonna get testosterone in this gym.
Yeah. And also, why is testosterone God for you? That's the real question. Why is testosterone? Okay, you will literally do anything as long as it gives you testosterone. Why are you not taking cold showers every single morning and waking up early and doing all these natural things that can give you testosterone? Why is it only girls then? It's a very flawed logic, bro.
Did you guys?
I think you're really right about how you think about dating and how you think about women is huge, and also just how powerful pornography is. I've had several dreams where I've looked at pornography in my dreams.
Same.
You know, it's like it shows how deep it goes into those memories and neural pathways are. But one thing my therapist really helped me on was back when I was 20, I kind of got caught in hookup culture a little bit. I had some casual sex, and for me, it always felt empty for me. It always felt like I almost felt like I was brainwashed by society that's the cool thing to do. And one thing I worked on with my therapist was more focusing on the inner beauty of women, more focus on having wholesome connections with women, more focus on finding a woman who aligns with your values and character. And it's so much of our culture, movies, music, it's all about hotness and ego and power energies and who's cool. And you got to strip all that away. And yeah, to what you don't even look at girls if they're if they're dressed scantily. That's dedication. That's going to inspire a lot of people hearing that. But yeah, it's before even my fantasies about girls were, oh, I'd love to have sex with this girl. And then I started to change how I thought about. It's like, yeah, I'd love to have sex with that girl, but also, what would a relationship be? What would it be like to get dinner with her and cuddle her and be vulnerable with her and share life together? And it's almost like I really had to change how I thought about girls and dating and relationships at a deep level, and that was a big part of my journey, just retraining how I thought about sexuality and dating and attraction. Yeah. I don't go to your extreme of not going to the gym, or I don't lower my gaze, but I do put in a big effort to only make eye contact and not stare at the ass, and I do put an effort about that. But that's dedication to even do girls react to you when you lower your gaze? Like what does lowering like? So if an attractive girl walks by you, you literally look down, you don't even look at her, or?
Straight up. Like literally. So I don't know.
You got to make a video of doing that in public or something.
That'd actually be hilarious, bro. That's a very good point. Yeah, I don't know how they react usually because I'm not
I
because
thought
I'm
lower
still
your gaze
looking
is
down.
almost like metaphorical or something. Not many people
Nah,
actually
you're literally
practice that.
lowering your gaze.
Yeah, looking away from what you can't basically look at.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for
Gotcha.
us in like Islam, it's not only naked women, but it's a girl, for an example, wearing like really tight clothing, crop tops, booty shorts, stuff like that. We can't look at that stuff
Yeah.
either. There's many things that we can't look at
Interesting.
basically, and yeah. So just lowering the gaze,
You,
like
you treat the body as sacred.
very
Like,
absolutely, yeah. We don't
yeah.
play it
Yeah.
at all. So I mean, like something happened
Yeah.
recently where there was a girl. I swear to God, I'm not trying to flex at all. This is just like one example of when I did it, bro. I'm telling you, there's this warmness in your heart. It feels so good after. I'm pretty sure the verse in the Quran, if I recall correctly, after it, God tells you the benefit of lowering the gaze. I forgot the verse, but
Let
let's
me
say
pull
for an
it up.
example,
Let me
if you
pull it
look
up.
at a girl, if you can pull it up, Angel, please. So if you're looking at a girl and you're like checking out her like body, right? 99 times out of 100, you're not going to actually get this girl's number or pursue anything with her. You just get a quick glance. Then that sits in the back of your mind. It makes you horny the whole day. You probably end up going to watch porn or go to Instagram and you see some more girls, and it's overall just a bad concept. But when you lower your gaze at the root level, at level 1, before it even starts, there's nothing even tempting you to begin with. A couple weeks ago, I was walking out of a store, and there was a girl. As I was walking out, this girl was dressed pretty provocatively, and she opened up the door for me to like walk through before I even got there, right? And so I'm walking, and I look up, and I see that this girl is doing that for me. And then immediately, I'm still working on this. I'm not trying to flex. I swear to God, this is just one example of like of a success story. I look up, I see the situation. I look down. She was Muslim too, from what it looked like. I looked down. I put my hand on my heart. I said "Salamu alaikum," and I walked past the door. Didn't make a single eye contact with her after I saw first. So
What does
and
salam
then
arkam mean?
Peace and blessings be upon you.
yeah,
Nice. Okay,
it's a
cool.
greeting Islamically. So I
Cool.
said that. I said salam, and I walked past her, and I don't know how she reacted after. I didn't look back to figure it out. I just put my head down, my hand on my heart, as in like I'm not gonna like shake hands, and I walked straight past. And throughout that day, like as I was walking past, and I was thinking, man, this feels really really good and warm in my heart. I feel like God's not only pleased with me, but I'm gonna be tested less throughout the rest of this day and the rest of this week. A lot of times men go to school in high school and college, they go to the gyms and all this stuff. I recall myself, and you see all these girls that are so attractive, and you're always like taking a peek and like glancing and stuff, right? And that is what's sparking the issue to keep on growing. If you're trying to take it away from pornography, it's important that you stay away from the things that are drawing you back towards it. So for a lot of people, that's actually Instagram. That could be sometimes YouTube. It could be Twitch. It could be Twitter. The things that are starting the addiction, that are pulling you towards it, that are the call to action, you have to basically take those out of your life. And for many men, we can't deny it. It's girls that we see in public as well.
Yeah, it's we don't realize how important lowering the gaze is. You know, before I was Muslim, I used to be in high school. Actually, in high school, I did this because it was just an insecurity, right? I was so insecure to look at people in the eyes in high school that I would just look like straight ahead, like look straight ahead. And I remember people would tell me, like, bro, when I first met you, I thought you were really conceited. And I was like, why? And they're like, because you always look ahead, like you don't look at people in the eyes. And I was like, oh, I guess that's why. But then now when I came to Islam and I was practicing this whole like lowering the gaze, like not looking at women, I found that you can apply the same thing, right? Like instead of looking around, because if you think about it, when you go into a gym, a lot of times you're going to see the women. Why? Because you got the wandering eyes. You're just kind of like looking around, seeing what's there, seeing who's there. But if you go in with like a mission, and you're like, okay, my mission is to hit this weight, and like you're just locked in. Like, sure, these women might come into your peripherals or maybe even like dead on center, but if you have your mission locked in, like, bro, you throw these things to the side very quick. I found that's the only thing that really helps me in like public places, because realistically, bro, like I try just looking down all the time, but if you're looking down all the time, then you kind of lose this situational awareness over what's going on around you. Because, bro, like, let's be honest, there's women everywhere. So I'm just gonna be looking down at the ground all the time. So I had to learn, like, okay, no, I can't look down all the time. I have to lower my gaze, but I can't do it that way. I have to do it in a different way. And what I found is like, it's like a video game. Have y'all ever played Skyrim?
Yeah.
Always have to link it to Skyrim. Luke, you play Skyrim?
I watched a friend
Don't
play it
lie, bro.
once.
Come on now.
I'm not much of a gamer.
Okay, bro.
I've seen a friend play it.
Okay. So have you played any game in your life?
Yeah, yeah. Back in high school, I played. You know, at a GameCube, PlayStation 2.
Okay. So
Yeah, N64. You know,
okay, so you probably play Mario then.
Mario. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you know in Mario, you have a main mission in Mario. Your main mission is to get past the level that's right in front of you. You're not like going all over the place. You're not jumping into this whole thing. Like, yes, you can go in the tube, do like a little side
focused.
mission.
Yeah.
But did you care
Yeah.
about the side mission?
Yeah.
Or were you just trying to like finish the main mission and
Usually
like
just focus on saving the princess, get into that flagpole at the end. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all it is. I see life now as like this video game where it's like I'm just focused on my main mission. What is my main mission? Okay, this is what it is. Locked in.
Yeah. But
I
I think that's super important. But I also think there's it's like what you were saying, Alex, about one thing you really recommend people's finding a relationship. It's if you're turning your gaze down all the time and if you're completely locked in, you know, don't you think that has to be balanced with some effort trying to meet women, smiling and saying hi, making conversation? How do you balance being completely locked in on your focus, but also, you know, it's like one problem some guys have on this journey is they kind of repress or demonize their sexuality, which that could lead to neuroses and weird stuff. So it's a weird thing where you want to honor relationships and sexuality as sacred, but you don't want to like demonize it. You know, you want to be super strong in your purpose and path, but in my belief, you know, you still want to be friendly and say hi to people and use that sexual energy to, for me, like when I'm dating or might have a date going up, I get a lot of motivation from that. That helps me with my focus. Like dating inspires me. So I'm curious how your guys is like, Alex, you said you were focused on finding a wife. It sounds like, how does that kind of?
He's married, bro. You didn't
I
see
got-
when
You're
he
married,
lifted his
bro?
hand up?
Yeah.
Lift your left
Oh, I
hand
didn't
up.
know that.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Oh, congrats,
bro,
brother. I
appreciate
didn't know that.
My
Hey,
man.
but
I
even
didn't
if
know
you
that.
didn't have the
Oh,
ring, you
congrats.
still would have been married.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I appreciate it, my man. Thank you so much.
I didn't know that. Congrats. Was that recent, or have you been married for a while, or?
Within this last year, not too long ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Congrats.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah. Yeah, so
That's
no,
awesome,
so there
man.
is Islamically a permissible way to like talk to women and to get to know them on a permissible level. There are
Okay.
certain things, like for an example, what I'm telling you about lowering gaze. These are from things that we're not allowed to be looking at Islamically. So, for an example, if a woman, and this will make it easier if the girl is also a Muslim too, if she's covering up properly according to like Islamic law, then it's no issue really. I mean, she's not wearing makeup, she's not adorning herself, she's not showing off her body and wearing crop tops and stuff like that. If she's fully covering Islamically too, it's easy because you're not going to look at her as a sexual object or think about pornography or what would happen, stuff like that. It's not going to get to that level. Also, in that sense, there's a way that we do it. It's a very like non-sexual way, a very straight to the point, straightforward. Usually, it's accompanied by a group of people or her family or my family, and they kind of get together, or at school in like a big classroom setting. So it's
How
done
did you
in a
meet your
very
wife?
my wife, actually, I've known her since like I think it was kindergarten. So I've known her for a
Okay.
very,
Wow.
very, very long time. Very close family
Wow.
friends, and we just got back in touch within these last few years, and we kind of hit it off from there. But yeah, like our families
cool.
basically were very, very cool for a very long time, and that made it really, really easy for us because we always had my mom in the same room as us as we're talking, and it made it easy to keep it. For an example, I got to know my wife on a really, really deep level, on a serious level, in the first like 3-4 weeks. Like I knew pretty much almost everything I had to know, and we weren't really like wasting time. like Islamically, we're not supposed to be like, hanging out together in private and all this stuff, and going to that level, or even like touching or like shaking hands, we can't do also. So we always had my mom in the same room as us, or like a certain like family member there, and we would talk about really deep questions. How would you react to this situation? What's your stance
Interesting.
on this? What's your philosophy on that? If you had a child and the child told you this, how would you answer? So we basically write down a bunch of questions, meet up, and then discuss these questions over and over every other day, and then to a point where like
Interesting.
there in the Western culture, there's a thing where they go and date for like 7-8 years, and they date for a super long time, then they get engaged for a couple of years, then they get married, and then after like 10 years they finally get married. We would kind of stay away from that point of view. We'd say, look, cut all the BS, get to the point. Like, what's really at your core? What's your purpose in life? What's your mission? What's your daily schedule look like? Tell me more about you as a person. Can we work together? And then once you really figure out the things that really matter, which you can condense that 7 year time really down to like 3 months maximum. Like, you can really get to the point. And that's what we do basically. It saves you a heartbreak. There was one time, I haven't told this story, I'm pretty sure, but there was a girl I was going to get to know in a permissible setting too. My parents were around and all that stuff, and I was gonna get to know her. And I think on our third conversation, I said, this is not going to work. And it was totally cool. Nobody had heartbreaks. I asked her one Islamic question about God's existence, right? And I asked her like a general question about God and her stance on it, basically. And from her stance on God, I realized, look, all respect to you, but there's no way that we can be compatible, having different philosophies to this extent. It's okay to have some wiggle room, but really, like, there's going to be I know if we were to get married, there'd be so many issues that it would not be a positive marriage, and I don't see myself. So after our third conversation that happened, I told my parents, hey guys, look, I think it's not a good idea for 1, 2, and 3. I felt no heartbreak, bro. Nothing. Literally, like, it was great.
Not meant
We
to
were
be.
dating.
Not God's
Nobody
will.
was hanging out in the parking lot and kissing and touching and putting art. Like, it was nothing like that at all. We got straight to the point. Like, oh, this is probably not going to work, and we just didn't talk after that. It was totally fine, and she was cool too. And Islam basically it saves your heart. It protects your heart. It saves you from a heartbreak by telling you, look, have people around, get to the point, and be serious, and then you guys can actually do it in a permissible way by actually getting married and not wasting so much time. So that's kind of our way of doing it. I think it's great, bro.
Is your approach the same, Alnel? What's your approach to dating? Is it the same as that?
Bro, no. So I'm Muslim as well. And I was gonna tell you, Luke, it's literally a cheat code.
And are you in a relationship, or are you single right now?
I'm married as well.
You're married as well. Wow, I feel bad for not knowing this.
Yeah, no.
How long have you been
very
married?
normal in Islam. It's very normal to be married. Been married for almost like 2 years now.
Mashallah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't really like publicize it until now, really, but
Same here, yeah.
Yeah, congrats about you. I didn't know that.
But bro, it is a cheat code, because me coming from a life where I wasn't religious before, and then I used to talk to women, I used to do the whole game and all this stuff.
Yeah.
When
I was into that.
Yeah, like, you know this, you know how it is, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
bro, us as men, we have, come on, like, let's be honest, we have desires when we're talking with a woman, like, it's just like back and forth, bro. And when this happens, if we have intimacy involved, like physical intimacy, kissing, sexual intimacy, bro, it clouds our judgment. And then we will not see red flags that are right there in front of our face, because all we're thinking about is like, damn, boy. Like, damn sheep, bro. And
the wrong relationship can be like a drug. Yeah.
Exactly, bro. So
pleasurable, but not spiritually, maybe long term. That's it's powerful hormones and emotions and oxytocin, bonding hormones going on. It's serious stuff.
Now look at it like this. Look at religions. Religions, you have God telling you, do not have sex before marriage. There's a reason for that, bro. There's wisdom there, bro. It's like, it's exactly what Alex, I'm not going to repeat it, bro. Like, you get to know the person on a deep level without any clouding, You can see all the red flags, and you can decide yourself: is this gonna be good, or am I just gonna let it pass? And that's damn. I think that's something that NoFap kind of started for me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one, but actually, no. Look, you were saying it yourself that like you started looking at women differently, and instead of just
Yeah.
looking at them in a sexual sense, you actually wanted to get to know them and all this stuff.
Yeah. When you start honoring the divinity within your own sexuality, you start to appreciate it more in the opposite sex.
Oh, precisely.
Because women in lots of ways are mirrors to us. So
Precisely.
it's like yeah.
No, so I mean, it's just little things, man. Little things. We don't realize that all the answers, all the ways to achieve what it is that we're
Hmm.
trying to do, it's already been there. Like we're the ones making it harder for ourselves, thinking that, oh, I'm gonna do this all by myself. I'm gonna go into the gym. I have no gym experience. This friend of mine knows how to work out. This is a personal trainer over here. He knows how to work out. YouTube videos showing. No, I'm not gonna listen to any of that stuff because I know it all. Like our ego stops us from progressing, whether that be overcoming this addiction or whether it comes to anything in our
Hmm.
lives, bro.
Interesting. Yeah. And now, like, both of you are. I agree that organized religion does create lots of structure and a guidance and a path, but and is extremely valuable. Provides community and provides that needed kind of structure and guidelines and path, which most of the youth is so lost today that guidance and path is necessary. But in my own belief, I also think there's like you can have your own individual connection with God. That like I don't think that this is my own personal belief that I don't like. I think there's like the God of Christianity, the God of Muslim. It's all the same God. It's different pathways up the top of the mountain. Um, but I guess one reason I'm saying this is I'm sure there's some people watching right now who aren't Muslim, who aren't Christian,
Hmm.
who maybe are atheists or maybe agnostic or maybe trying to figure it out. And um, my personal belief is that like for organized religion works really great for some people, but I also believe there's an individual path to find God yourself. I don't think there's any right way. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that. Um, and
Yeah,
also, I have had some client. Well, my belief in God and my spiritual practice has helped me a lot. I have had some clients who are atheists who have healed from a porn addiction. So I like it is. I think it's really hard. Like
anything
God
is
has helped
possible.
me so much, but
Anything is
it
possible.
is it is possible.
Yeah,
For those, I just
that's
want
the
to
thing.
include everyone.
Uh,
But for me, for all of us, God has really helped us.
I've
But
never, like I said, I didn't say it wasn't. I just said you're gonna be
yeah,
on the edge.
it's
And
yeah,
who's to say that like 20 years down the line, you're gonna be like, it's not gonna hurt me if I just, watch it once, right?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So again, not to say
And then
that,
especially if you're married, you have the accountability of your partner too. You don't want to betray
uh,
her.
but you
So
also
that's
have the
God and having
intimacy.
the partner,
You have the intimacy
and you
with
have
your
the real
partner.
thing.
That's
That's the
much
most
better
important.
than anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But look, religion is a very touchy subject, right?
It
So
is.
I think the best thing that we can
But
leave
just like
religion
how
to.
pornography was a touchy subject, any
Yeah, I
touchy
mean, look,
subject
bro,
is
if you guys
important to
want to
talk
get into
about.
religion, I have nothing, like no boundaries, bro. But I'm just like, I understand because I've been there. I've been in that place where I get closed off very easily. And all I will
Yeah,
say is like, look, just
it's worked
meditate
for all three
first,
of us.
right?
God has
Meditate
helped all of us.
first.
Yeah,
If you
I
meditate
agree with you.
first,
Meditation.
you
Yeah,
will start to become more aware of your life, of yourself, of your own thoughts, your feelings,
yeah,
the traumas that you went through as a kid. And then from there you start to kind of connect some dots, right? Like you start connecting the dots. And that's when your journey starts, where you start to get closer to God. Maybe you don't even realize you're getting closer to God, but eventually it'll get there, right? So it is a journey. Everything in life is a journey. Will everyone end up religious? Probably not. Does everyone need religion? I mean, I'm gonna say from my part, I say so, because seeing the results that it's
Now,
had for myself and for the many people.
what's your difference between a religion and a connection with God? Do you think someone could
So
kind of
look
have
at it
their
like this:
own individual connection with God?
you can have your own connection with God. I had this
Yeah,
before I became religious, but the
yeah,
question is, how often do you have that? Let's say we're
uh,
walking down a straight path.
yeah,
All right. Let's say it's very, very dark. You can barely see the path, like
yeah,
the edges of the path, right? Let's say it
yeah,
gets to a point where it gets so dark, well, now you're just walking in the dark.
Yeah.
yeah.
You could stay
That's
on the
true.
straight path, but you could also fall off. And eventually you'll find your way back, maybe. And if you do, how
Yeah,
long are you going to stay on that straight path before you end up falling off again? So all religion
yeah.
really does is
Creates the structure.
it creates
Yeah,
the structure, creates the guidelines where now you're walking as dark as
yeah,
hell still, but you
yeah.
have the guidelines, so you know, okay, I just have to stay within these guidelines and I will be
It's a great
good.
metaphor.
So
Yeah,
that's it, man. You can connect with God without religion, but the question is, how long can you connect with God? How deep can you connect with God? Can you get to the point where you really want to connect with him? Or is it going to be something that's like a struggle for the rest of your life?
And how do you know that
yeah.
it's the truth too? Because so like God, for an example, is either one or he's multiple. Some people believe that there is like multiple gods, right? They pray to this god or to that god,
Yeah,
and that's like a personal belief. But how do you know, like really, like there is an objective truth. So for an example, like one thing that really blew my mind for the first time hearing it was that for an atheist, there's no way that an atheist can make an objective moral claim. So, for an example, if an atheist tells you watching porn is bad, okay, they can't say that as a fact. They can only say it as a personal opinion for it, right? But coming from
Subjective
a
truth.
yeah, so that's subjective totally. But me coming from my religion, I'm making an objective claim based on God's stance on it. So God tells us to, for an example, lower our gaze, don't watch porn, right? So I'm saying watching porn is objectively wrong for every single human being, no matter your age, size, color, height, anything. So for a atheist, them saying pornography is bad, or drinking is bad, or smoking is bad, or lying or cheating is bad, holds just as much weight as me saying pizza is the best tasting food on the planet. It's totally subjective. You might like sushi or salmon or shrimp or chicken, but no, pizza is the best tasting food. I don't care what you say. It's just a personal opinion, right? So that's why I think that it's important that we have an
gives you a crystal
objective
clear
stand.
guideline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as a fact.
yeah,
Like there are certain things it's not up to your opinion. It's true, right? Like we can agree that the color of my shirt is like gray, right? Or that the color behind me is blue and purple or pink. If we
yeah.
have to agree on certain things that are absolute facts to actually build upon to make other opinions in life too. So that comes down to like morality to belief in God. There are arguments that we don't have to get into now, but they literally prove the existence of one true God that are perfect arguments, like the contingency argument. Like these arguments can prove to you that there is a one absolute one source, there is one God, and then once you start to actually say, okay, so there is one God, we can all believe that now. What message of His is actually true? And then once you can prove that this religion is actually true itself, then you have that moral framework of how of okay, so what exactly is this God? Is it a boy, girl, tall, short? Is there multiple of him? Is he neither of the above? Then you have the actual connection towards him. So it's good to start off meditating and asking questions and thinking introspectively, like about your past and previous experiences. And I think that's very important, Angel, too, because a lot of people actually that don't believe in God or say they don't, if they were to meditate and realize a lot of times, most times they have issues in their childhood that pulls them away from the idea of a all just God actually existing. something bad happened to them as a kid, for an example, it had an abusive parent, something really, really bad happened.
Yeah.
And that pent up trauma that they've suppressed gives them this preconceived notion: religion's fake, God's not real. I don't want to
How
believe
can
in
God
it. And
exist if this suffering
if this bad
happened?
thing happened to me,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the argument from evil. That doesn't even disprove God, by the way. That is talking about God's characteristic of being the most just. It's a longer story. But it's unless you're meditating and looking introspectively. Okay, I know for a fact, when I was a kid, I grew up around a bunch of atheists. My teacher was also an atheist. He was teaching me that there is no proof scientifically that you can't prove God is real. And if I look back at my life and know, okay, if I'm gonna make a choice, I have to break down all of these buildings that were built, all of these structures that were built on me, and I have to make a choice personally for myself. And then you can actually make a sound choice. But prior to that, unless you're not thinking or not meditating, there's so many seeds planted in your mind from people, from society, from your parents, and all of the above that basically cloud your sight. You can be looking at the truth, but you can't see it because when you were 10 years old, someone influenced you in a certain way, or you were abused in a certain way. And now, unless you go back and fix that, it's hard to find truth. So, yeah, man, I think
Yeah.
it's a great
Bro,
place to
Very
start.
true.
that's
Very true.
exactly why I was atheist. I was abused from 10 years old to 18 years old.
Yeah.
And my nephew passed away at 7 months old. And I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
being in the church and I kept asking every single person, how could God do something like this? Every single answer they gave me just it did not satisfy what I needed at that time, and it just led me down a very dark path. But it led me to go down the path of the Sith, bro. I was over here in the dark side, but to play on this, like to add on this, bro. Think about this, Luke. Every one of us, our mind is constantly changing. You said you've been doing this for a decade, bro. When you first started YouTube, can you say that you think the same way and feel the same way now that you did back then when you first started YouTube?
Yeah, massively different. Yeah, life is always
Vastly
in a state of
different.
change. Yeah.
Vastly different. So if we understand this basic principle that us as humans, we're constantly in a state of change, it's very natural, right? Bro, look at what's happening today. You have the Rainbow Squad, the people who like the same gender. I won't, keep it like this for the algorithm's sake. But you have people like this. Did you know that this was actually a mental disorder? It was a mental disease at one point. Somewhere along the line, minds started changing, narratives started changing. Now it's actually normal. Now it's like, hey, it's accepted, and we should accept. And now it's being pushed in schools, and kids are being forced to learn about these things. Have you seen the books that they show the kids? They actually show sexual positions to little kids in books, bro. So look, I'm let me digress a little bit here, right? So we have to understand that we as humans, as a collective, we're always changing our mind. I mean, back then, when in the time of like Saudi Arabia, when you had the Arabs over there, bro, everything was all about like the men, like power for the men, power for the men. This was before the religion, okay? Power, like the men had the power because they would go to work, they would fight the wars, they would do all this stuff. They held the honor of the family. So when the family had a daughter, they would bury the daughters alive. And this was normal for them. No one said anything about it. It was normal, bro. If someone does that
In
today,
China, they would
what?
kill daughters too sometimes because they wanted more men to work on farms. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
is that normal?
It's barbaric. Yeah.
It's barbaric. It's barbaric. But that's the thing is back then it was okay. It was normal. Times
You had to
change,
support the
the
family, I
mind
guess.
changed,
You had to support
everything
the farm.
changes.
You need, yeah.
So when you have religion, it sets an objective truth, an objective statement that okay, this is what it is, and it doesn't matter if it's 50 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000 years from now, it will still be this. Like 1,000 years from now, grass will still be green. 1,000 years
Well,
from now, Well, of course, some things may happen here and there, but like you kind of get the gist that I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe this would be a better conversation for another time, but also could you make that change argument about how religions can kind of change and update over time with
Yes, some
society?
of them.
So
That's the thing. Okay,
is
so
some
Some
stuff
can,
in
yeah.
the Quran or Bible not appropriate for the times now? And there are new truths, new revelations, and it's it's not this constant thing, but it's like there's nothing about NoFap, in the Quran or Bible. There's stuff about lowering
so
your gaze, or Jesus saying if you look at another woman's wife, you've already committed adultery in your heart. So there's
yeah.
hints of that, but my belief is, religion can kind of change too, according to the times. I mean, we're going to be a half AI in 50 years, or we're in interesting times.
So I would say, bro, is that times change and we might say things differently, but it's still kind of the same thing. Like we say no fap, but in reality, religion has been talking about this.
Honoring sexuality, yeah,
Religion has been
it's the
talking
same.
about this for
Yeah,
a very long time.
making it sacred.
When
Yeah.
when you look at medicine, right? Would you try to perform a surgery on your mom, or would you have a doctor perform the surgery for her?
Yeah, you want to go through a system that's provenly helping people.
You
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
someone that has
First,
the
yeah,
knowledge,
yeah,
right? So when it
yeah,
comes to religion, look, religion is a
yeah,
guideline for us, but when you actually
yeah,
go into religion, you will have scholars, the ones who have actually studied the religion. If you can find good ones, they will tell you what you need to know about these religions, and they can apply it
yeah.
to your life. And this is kind of, it goes back to what Alex was saying. Like, if you're trying to find, and this is why I said like a religion is a very touchy subject, bro. Like, it's gonna hit a lot of nails here. But if you
I
look
like
at
touchy
religion,
subjects. Those are the most important to
yeah,
talk
no,
about.
I do too, bro. But like, you know
We
how it
talk about
is,
Yeah,
bro.
NoFap
You know
online,
how it
bro.
is.
That's our thing.
yeah, yeah. That's us. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
also
Yeah.
add Angel real quick. So Luke, as far as religions changing, so if we start off with the premise that so this religion came from God, religion A came from God, right? Everything about it is perfect because God gave it to us. So if God tells us, for an example, lower your gaze or anything that is said in the Quran or Bible, let's say this is absolute fact because God said it, then I say lower your gaze only on Tuesday mornings. So now it's not from God, right? So basically, I've distorted the religion, so it's not objective. Now it becomes subjective because I, as a person, made a change to God's word, and God is not a person. God's opinion isn't always like shifting and changing and has these like mood swings as if like as we would. So when God says it, for an example, in the Quran, this is our book, it hasn't changed since it was revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him. And we can prove this empirically too. There's even been a radiocarbon dating to prove that there are certain chapters and verses that have been saved and preserved. Not a single punctuation changed, not a single letter changed. If you get a Quran in Michigan and you get a Quran in China, they're going to be the same exact book from any part of the world today because there's never been any revisions, updates, software updates, changes, difference of opinions. This book is final. So this is the most objective standard here. It's been mass memorized by millions of people since the time of the Prophet until this day. I literally have a friend that he's like 17 now. He has the whole book memorized front to back, eyes closed. It's like 12 hours long if he was to sit down and do it on like one
wow,
single
that's
breath, right?
impressive.
And
Yeah,
millions, I think like tens of millions of people have it memorized today, even in today's time. So it's one of those things that we can prove empirically that it hasn't changed. And this is a book that is made, it's a universal book. It wasn't made for 1,400 years ago. It was made for that time and all the time forward after that. Because if the thing that wrote this book, the deity that wrote it, really is God, then God has to be all knowing. He has to know everything. Otherwise, if he doesn't, it's a deficiency and then he's not God, right? So if God's the all knowing and he's writing a book for all of mankind for the rest of time, then he should be able to make sure that this book can stay applicable for the rest of time and doesn't need to be changed. Because if the book had to be changed and like, yeah, God, you were right 50 years ago, but God, you're not right today, then the author of that book isn't God because God's always correct because God is the absolute truth, right? So that's why we'd say that it's like we're a little bit more like, locked in on the idea that it can't
Yeah,
really
I
be
see.
played with or
It's like
shifted or even
yeah.
updated, because as humans change, we have different opinions and things are acceptable morally. 100 years later, it's fine. Like, don't look too far actually. Slavery in the USA was only abolished 160 years ago. That's not too
Yeah,
far
that's
away, was it?
crazy. Yeah.
We were
That's crazy
there
how
were literal
that was.
slaves
That
in
was.
this
Yeah.
country, the land of the free. They had slaves, and
I mean,
it
there's
was
still slaves in
morally
some countries.
acceptable.
Yeah, in some
It was
countries. Yeah.
financially acceptable. Everybody had them. Why, if you didn't have it, you were looked at as weird. Like, why are you gonna go and free them, bro? You can literally make so much money, right? But in today's time, absolutely not. You literally go to prison. So it's a drastic difference. And this is why, because our Constitution was written by men that literally have opinions that change, that are
Yeah.
just normal people. So we'd say, for an example,
Well,
God
could
wrote
the
this
same
book.
argument be made that it wasn't God who wrote the book, but it was a human who wrote the book who got guidance from God, but he was fallible to his own interpretations of it, I'm playing devil's advocate here because
No,
I
of
believe
course.
in God, and
Go for it. Yeah.
I've had synchronicities, and I know God is real, and I'm very open to learning about everything. I think one of the most important things is openness and learning from everyone.
Luke, you really wanna go on a rabbit hole?
Sure, but I guess one quick question first is, if the Quran is all objective truth, is there anything in the Quran that you disagree with or don't follow? Like, I know in the Old Testament, there's some arcane rules that people don't follow anymore. Is there anything like that in the Quran? Honestly, I don't know much about the Quran, and it's something I'd like to learn more about.
Yeah, so look at it like this. If you were a kid, you don't know, like if a stove is hot and you've never touched a stove before, you don't know that it's hot. So
Yeah,
your dumbass might touch the stove and burn your hand, right?
yeah,
Now your parent, either your dad or your mom, will tell you, don't touch the stovetop. You're gonna burn your hand, right?
hmm
You don't know that it's bad for you. They know that it's bad for you. So they're telling you this, and now it's your choice. You may like it, you may not like it. You may accept it, you may not accept it. Now, whatever choice you decide, are you going to accept it and not touch it, whether you like it or not? Or are you going to not listen to your parents and then touch it? Because, they said not to, so you wanna see what it is. Then you touch it and then you burn your hand like a degenerate, and then your parents are over here scolding you, and they might smack you with a belt or something. Actually, I don't even think they do that nowadays. But they're gonna like yell at you, and when they yell at you, it's like, oh, you realize, oh, they were actually right. So in the Quran, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I might see something in there, and I may not agree with it 100%, but I know that but if it's not been altered in how long has it been, Alex?
okay.
1400 years.
Yeah, 1400
But you
years.
don't agree with some
If it's
things,
not
though.
been altered in 1400 years, then that means that there's wisdom there that I don't know. And there's even an ayah, there's a verse in the book which says that perhaps there is something which is good for you, but you dislike it. And there's something that you like which is actually bad for you. You
Yeah,
don't know, but God knows. Because, God's the one
yeah,
that created us, right?
yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you the same question again. Like, do you really want to take the red pill and go down this rabbit hole?
Um, yeah, I'm happy to learn more. Yeah, yeah, this is interesting. But so there are some things in the Quran you disagree with, though. You said, and how does that fit in with what you're also saying about it being like objective truth and this firm guideline?
Yeah, so
That's.
it's
But I
I'd
would be
have to
curious
recall it.
what other.
I'll get the parts that I disagree with, but at the end of the day, whether I disagree with it or not doesn't change its validity, right? Like if Alex, if we're in the gym and Alex bench presses 135 pounds, if I didn't like that, I don't know why I wouldn't, but if I didn't like that, it doesn't change the fact that he actually bench pressed 135 pounds. Like, still valid.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me share my screen, bro. I want to share something with you. You want it touchy? Well, I'm gonna give you touchy, bro.
I think this is a great kind of metaphor for NoFap. Is one of the most important things is to get your
Be
mind thinking about more
open.
interesting things and be open and be engaged in life. And have an open mind
Yeah,
and not like
exactly.
True.
it's easy to be obsessive about NoFap, but it's rather than being curious about what you're going to find on the screen, to be curious about the deeper questions of life.
Yeah, it's like a
Exactly.
stepping stone,
That's
right? It's not
Exactly.
it's like helps
Bro,
you get there.
in
yeah.
the Quran, it actually tells us that we shouldn't
I'm gonna need
follow.
to read the Quran. I've never read it.
No, but you'll
I need
love
to
it,
read
bro.
it.
You'll love it. Listen, it tells us that we shouldn't follow what our parents or those around us were following before us. That we should look for
Forefathers,
the
yeah.
answers ourselves and we should find the truth so that way we have the firm belief, right? So a lot of Christians, a lot of Catholics, a lot of Hindus, a lot of Buddhists, they were only really doing it because they just followed what their parents were doing or what the
Yeah,
society around them was doing, right?
yeah,
So myself, I grew up Catholic, right? I grew up Catholic. Then the guy that my mom was with, he was Christian, and so he was trying to teach us Christian, the theology and practicing all that. But it was, it led to me being into a state of disbelief completely because of
yeah.
everything that happened. Now, I'm gonna share my screen here, bro, because this is what really started blowing my mind when I started to go back into, uh, I guess you could say, spirituality, trying to figure out what the hell everything that was
Is it
going on.
miracles in the Quran?
Nah, nah, nah. You're gonna see. So you guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to first thing I want to show you. Have you ever heard of the Council of Nicaea?
No.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
wasn't
go ahead, bro.
or that was when they decided what something about the Bible, right?
So the Council of Nicaea had a whole bunch of different disciples, and they chose select ones after I want to say it was anywhere from like 100 to 300 years after Jesus. So they chose
Yeah,
these specific disciples to gather what they thought was the teachings of Jesus Christ.
yeah. And they chose some chapters and they discarded some.
Precise,
I've actually read a book on that. Yeah,
precisely. Okay, so
yeah,
actually, I was actually going to show you this here, this book, where it shows you all the missing parts of the Bible. Now,
But you, you
yeah,
can't see it. It still
The
shows you where.
Bible is a collection of narrations. It's not the actual words. And this is how I can show you, bro. There's another book which is
We can't see
by
your screen, by the way.
Christian scholars. This is
Just so you
called
know.
the Five Gospels. Now, these are Christian scholars. They dissected the Bible and they color coded what Jesus said, what he might have said, and what he definitely didn't say. So you will be surprised at the things that he actually did say versus the things that he just absolutely did not say. It was just fabricated. Yet
there's
people
been some
take it
misinterpretation. Yeah,
exactly. People take it as
people
100%
take
the
it
truth.
literal. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
Now, the big thing here is that most people, actual Christians nowadays, I have nothing against Christians, but my little brother, he's Christian. But most Christians, they actually have not read the entire Bible front to back. You go into church,
yeah,
you go into a service on Sunday, and they say, open the Bible on this page at this verse right here. You start reading with the pastor, and then they skip to another one. So it's selective reading, but they're not reading the entire thing. So that makes you have to question the validity. And if you ask any pastor, any
yeah.
scholar of Christianity, they will all say, "Yes, I know. I know that they took books out of the Bible. I
Yeah,
know that it's altered in
and they
this sense."
translated it between a couple languages, and yeah,
Exactly, bro. You don't even have
there's
the
a lot of
original language of the Aramaic.
there's Yeah, like my personal belief about the Bible is I take it as interpretation. Yeah, it's not the exact word of God in my opinion. It's you have to interpret it and find
Exactly.
God within. Yeah, with your own
But
inner
but here's the thing, bro. A lot of
inner journey.
people will not open up to this. All right,
They've
but
never even read the
here's the
Bible
thing.
or
Here's
know
the thing,
about the
bro.
Gospel of Philip or the Gospel of Thomas. Yeah, there's these other
Exactly.
Gospels not even in the Bible. I think I've read
You
most of
have
those.
you have the Old Testament, you have the New Testament, and then
Mhm.
you have what's called the Final Testament, which is the Quran. Now, all of these are the same message. When they first came down, it was the same exact message. And something that I found in the Quran, which I didn't understand at first, because in the Quran, in Islam, they tell you, okay, there's only one God. Okay, understood, simple. But then it uses the word we a lot. And when I asked a scholar, they told me that back then, this is the language, the old English and the old Arabic and the Aramaic, they use the royal we, which means that it's instead of using I, like if I'm talking for all three of us, I would say we. But imagine I made a decision myself, but I'm talking for the three of us. I would say we made this decision, but really I made the decision. So that's the royal
Okay.
we. Now, if all three of these, if Judaism, if Christianity, and if Islam, if they were all the same message when they first came, then that means that when it says the royal we, it's just God. Right now,
Yeah.
imagine you have the Bible, which is brought together maybe 100, 200, 300 years after the death of Jesus,
Yeah.
supposedly, right?
Yep.
Do you or do you not think that perhaps as humans, we may have made a mistake and said, oh, maybe they mean that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that they're all God, right? And then this is where you have to understand further. When the time that the Council of Nicaea, I actually stopped sharing my screen. I have nothing else to show you. But when the time of the Council of Nicaea was around, it was a time of the Romans. And like, bro,
Yeah.
think about the Romans, what they used to believe in.
Yeah. That pagan gods and yeah.
There are a
But
lot of gods.
yeah.
So, what better way to bring Christianity mainstream to the people than to introduce the Trinity? Because the Council of Nicaea, they're the ones that introduced the Trinity. Like I told you, I know a lot of Christians who are very practicing, and I have nothing wrong with that. I love them for the sake of God, and I know that they're very practicing. And they all tell me the same thing. They read the Bible front to back. They've read it multiple times. And from reading it multiple times, from reading their own book, they've come to the conclusion that the Father is the only God and that Jesus is not God. They came to that conclusion themselves. And they get demonized for it, for saying this, bro. It's a very big rabbit hole. I'll let you do the research. I'll let you look into it.
Yeah. I've actually done a pretty good amount of research on that. Yeah. So I am familiar, and it's that's there are lots of, in my opinion, discrepancies in Christianity, and that's why like I consider myself a follower of Jesus's teachings, but I don't think, like, when people say, when Christians say you have to believe in Jesus, I that doesn't sit right with me. You know, that seems like there's this one and only way. But then I also have that feeling about the Quran too, that there's this one and only way. You know, I feel like there's multiple ways to God and to truth. There's these guidelines that have been blazed before us by very smart people who have found what works and is obviously spread. But is that necessarily the one and only way? And is there even a way to is there even a point where we can kind of transcend organized religion and create a deeper personal relationship with God, where, you know, we don't need a book, but it's kind of this direct relationship with God, the creator? You know, it's almost
Yeah.
like organized religion's really great, but is there a point where you even transcend it
I
and
mean,
you kind of have your own relationship?
it all comes back to the point that as
And
humans,
I don't think there's a right answer. I think
God,
everyone
bro.
needs to find truth on their own.
No, of course,
So
but
But
we all have to look for the answers. But again, it comes back to the point. And I think we don't have too much time because me and Alex have to pray. What time is Maghrib
cool,
for you, bro?
cool.
I still got like an hour though.
Okay.
It's a
But
sunset for you guys, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
what I wanted to say, bro, is like, look, we can all look for God. Whether you're religious or not, we can all look for God. We can get close to God, right? But if you think about it, remember what I said, it's just guidelines. All it is, religion is guidelines. Like, do you think you can transcend the guidelines? You think that at some point or another you won't need guidelines? I don't know. You'd have to see for yourself, right? But
Yeah,
I just leave it at
but the
that, man.
guidelines, yeah, and the basic guidelines of just especially loving each other and being truthful and loving God. It's I think those are the most important.
Yeah.
To add to that really quick, so it's good principle, but at the same time, if so, if we all have our own opinions of like how to worship God, how to even love God, or how to love each other, and what boundaries we shouldn't cross, and all of these little small intricate things, if we have our own opinions on these, we might get close to God just a little bit. But how about if God Himself is or wants a absolute truth? For an example, God wants us to, let's just say, not watch pornography for the sake of this like podcast. Um, some people might go and argue, okay, watching pornography, sure, but I want to watch anime porn, or I want to watch like certain kinds of it. They can make their own arguments any way that they want. But it doesn't really matter. Like I was telling you earlier, like it doesn't really matter unless God says it Himself and God makes a stance on it. So if I tell you I connect through God through doing jumping jacks at 5 a.m., that's a personal stance. Maybe someone tells you that they connect through God through like doing drugs, which a lot of people actually do. They do like acid and like shrooms and stuff like
Hey,
that,
That's
what?
true. Yeah,
and that's how they get close to God, right? Well, in the Quran, we're not allowed to take these like drugs. God tells us clearly,
yeah,
don't take these like mind altering substances. So we
yeah,
can't do it. So they might think that they're getting close to God this way, but we would say, well, no, God says not to do that. So you're actually getting further from God. It might be delusional. You might not really be following the absolute truth. But we have to come to the agreement that absolute truth does exist. Because if everyone's left to their own subjective desires and like reasons, and we can't find that this is an absolute truth, then it's impossible to make a claim of really any sort. To say that God even exists, or God is one, or God is love, or God is whatever it might be. To even make that claim, you have to substantiate it with some sort of evidence.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's just a personal opinion. Like God is love, and everyone should just love each other, and that's all. That's as far as you should basically go. I hear that like very very often. Well, to make that claim, you have to basically bring me evidence that it's true. How about if a God doesn't want us to love each other? Prove to me otherwise. I'll literally believe anything as long as I have
mm,
objective evidence for it. So like we can literally prove, and there are actual proofs. Like you should always ask questions. By the way, like if you want to ask questions, I can get you in contact with some guys that are very very knowledgeable. But you should always ask questions. For an example, okay, you guys follow Islam. There's a book called the Quran. How do I know that God actually gave us this knowledge? How do I know for a fact? And we can give you absolute answers. God revealed this book to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and it hasn't changed since it was revealed. There's no mistakes in it. There's no errors in it. Nobody has produced a book like it. It has miracles, plenty miracles. I've written down 30 myself that beat science by 1,000 years. There are certain verses that I read, and I'm like, bro, if this book actually hasn't changed and it wasn't updated in the last 90 years, it had to be from God 100%. Like for an example, the Big Bang Theory, right? God says in the Quran, we created the heavens and the earth from the heavens and the earth were both once one mass, and then we split them apart. And I saw that, I'm like, that's literally the Big Bang Theory. Or
And
God
it says
says,
that it's constantly expanding.
exactly. I was gonna get that. Yeah, exactly. So God says also, we created the universe with great might, and we are certainly expanding it.
mm,
1,445, I think, years ago. Someone comes and tells you that, you'll be like, bro, you're tripping. And then what, like 98 years ago, because the Hubble telescope came out, recent scientific technology, literally less than 100 years ago, we just proved that the universe is ever expanding. So there's literally like 35 plus of these sorts of miracles in the Quran. Once you prove that it hasn't been changed, never been tampered, not even down to the punctuation mark, and it has so many miracles that science just figured out in these last 100, 200 years, it really gives you like one only option. It has whoever gave us this book knows everything. Whoever gave us this book is not a human being that has basic knowledge. It has to be God. There's one video I'll send you after. It's
I'm gonna have to read the Quran. I've never read it. I know a lot about Christianity, Buddhism, even Hinduism, but I've actually I need to read the Quran.
yeah.
You'll
So,
make a
yeah.
lot of connections in your head, bro. There's one part where it describes the
Yeah, and if you have something to share,
state.
Alex, share with me afterwards. Yeah.
Bro, there's one part in the book where it
Thanks
describes
for
the
sharing
state
this.
of the embryo, like
Oh
in
yeah.
the womb of the woman
Hmm.
as it's developing, and it describes it in like, bro, perfect detail. And there's one like professor, he was saying that like just the findings, like what have like the book, what it says in the book during the time when it was revealed, there was no possible way that anyone could have known the exact
Yeah.
details of how the embryo was developing and how it actually looks like a leech at a certain point within its
Yeah.
development.
They calls it a leech, yeah.
Well, I believe in divine revelation, I'm sure. So Muhammad had divine revelation, but do Muslims believe do they believe he's one with God, or do they believe and by am I supposed to say peace be upon him whenever
Yeah.
sorry if I don't
Yeah.
want to break any custom or anything.
So
Yeah,
what do you
peace
mean
be
by
on him.
one? What do you mean by
I
one
want to be
with
or do they believe, because there's other prophets, and I feel like I've gotten messages from God, but I also have times where I say nonsense or I'm not tapped into God all the time, but God
exactly?
has revealed some things for me. And could Muhammad have gotten some divine insight, and then other parts of the Quran are his interpretations or his insights, but not necessarily? Like, how do you know for sure
If it
everything in the
was,
Quran is divine insight?
so look at it like this. In Islam, you have the Quran, which is the holy scriptures, and then
And
you
I,
have
and
these
I want
books
to be
called
perfectly
the
respectful too.
hadiths.
I feel bad for not saying
I
peace
don't
be
know, of
upon him.
course, bro.
I need to learn these things. So
There's nothing
Okay.
disrespectful. Like, bro, you wanted to get into the subject.
okay,
I told you like we could leave it off the table. You want to get into it.
yeah, I
There's
just want to make sure I'm being
Yeah.
respectful. Yeah.
yeah. So in Islam, you have the Quran, and then you have these things called the hadiths. Now, the hadiths
Okay.
are just a collection of narrations of what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, what he said. Right. So you
Okay.
have there's
Those
a
are his
grading
insights.
scale. There's a grading scale as to like, okay, this is 100% he
Interesting.
said this, 75%. Okay, it's kind of questionable whether he said this or not, but still wisdom nonetheless that can be derived from it.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at this, and I don't know why I have this in my hand, but when you look at that, you literally see that the way he speaks, there's a certain pattern that it follows. And then when you look at the Quran, it's a completely different pattern of speech. It's not the same. And had he mixed something in there himself, had he just said, you know what, well, I guess maybe this or maybe that, oh, let's just, let's throw it in here. Bro, it would have been brought to light at some point or another. In the book, it literally has this challenge for every single person to basically disprove it. Basically, like try to come up with something remotely close to what is
That's
being
good.
said.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it literally says, and you will never be able to. It literally says this, like anyone, bro, everyone has tried to take this challenge on and they've all failed.
I need to read the Quran. Yeah, I need to read it.
I have a
Yeah.
question for you, bro.
Sure.
What are you really good at?
I'm really good at researching stuff that I'm curious about. Like, whether it's NoFap or I'm good at leading the edge in terms
Got
of
you. Got you.
intellectualism, or finding out NoFap. I'll learn everything I can about NoFap. Like when I have an intellectual topic of the mind I'm passionate about, I want to learn everything possible I can and get to the absolute truth of what's going on.
So what's something that you have researched that you had to really, really study in order to like gather the knowledge for?
Yeah, I guess sacred sexuality is one of them. Like the book Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, which talked about how to more conserve your sexual energy. Then I've read a lot of books on tantra, which I think lots of those are kind of out there, and just lots on P, lots on brahmacharya. I've read a lot about semen retention, and then I've also researched a lot about psychology, Jungian psychology, and aspects of that type of spirituality.
So most of these were from books or articles, right?
Most
YouTube
of them,
videos as well, right?
books. Yeah,
So remember what you said earlier, like, couldn't we get to the point where we could transcend the book or the
books
books,
are very helpful. Yeah,
right? So would you be able to transcend and learn all of that information that you learned about sacred sexuality without those books?
yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. I definitely needed guidance from other people who have put more time and experience into figuring it out.
It's the
Yeah,
guidelines, baby. That's all it is. It's the guidelines.
yeah. But also in all those books, there's some things I disagree with too. You know, it's like I
Of
take
course.
what resonates, and yeah.
Yeah,
But the
of course.
guidelines
Hey,
are super important for everything.
rightfully so.
That's
Rightfully so.
yeah,
Right? These books
yeah,
were written by, other men, and you can fact check them. You can always like go deeper and keep asking questions like, okay, where did you get this? Where did you get that? How did you get to this? How
yeah,
did you get to that? And if you come up to the point where this guy's like, oh, well, I just sat down in a golf course and it just came to me, you'll probably sit there and be like,
yeah.
huh. Like, I'm
You want to challenge
basing my
it.
belief
You
of
don't want
buddy
to
over here who was
put
in a
your
golf
authority into
course and
someone
just,
else. Yeah,
yeah. So it's like
yeah,
you always have to question things, and like it's the same thing. Like, why would we take from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? He received this when he was in the cave meditating. He received the revelation, but it's researching, fact checking. You keep looking, and you start to realize, like, bro, religion. What is it really? It's a guideline, and it's trying to make you what? It's trying to make you a good person. It's trying to make you believe that there's only one God to be a good person. That's it. It's very
yeah,
simple, right?
yep,
So now, if you go back to the beginning of time, bro, God has been trying to send down this message since the beginning of time. It's like the telephone game that we played as kids. Remember, we sat around in a circle, and you would tell
yeah.
something to
That's fun.
someone,
Yeah,
and then when you would
yeah,
tell it, it would come back to you, and it would be something completely different.
yeah.
When it was something completely different, that's it. It was game over, right?
I'm gonna have to look more into the Quran and
Yeah,
study it
just
more.
look into it, bro.
Yeah,
We're not
I'll
over
look
here
into it.
trying to push it on you, bro. Whether you whether you believe it or not doesn't really change anything, right? It's your life, bro. It's your choice.
Yeah, and I'm not. I don't mean to push back on you guys either, but I have a feeling if I read it, I need to read it. There'll be some things that sit weird with me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything feels really right.
Yeah.
I have a
Read it, bro.
feeling that if I read it, there might be
Ask
some things
ask as
that
many
I'm not
questions as
sure about.
possible.
Yeah,
Ask as many questions as possible, bro.
yeah, go for it. Don't be shy
I'll
about it. We're always here for you.
I need to check it out. Yeah, I can't. One of my pillars of life is I don't know. I need to understand. You know, so many people are. I'm this. I'm that. I'm atheist. I'm Christian. I'm Muslim. But yeah, what you were saying, they adopted it from their family. You know,
Exactly.
they didn't find truth on their own, and the willingness to research and discover truth is one of the biggest traits I admire in people,
Yeah. Okay,
and
bro.
to like
So
admit no.
before, my bad to cut you off, brother, but since it's getting a little late now, before we cut it off, you guys want to answer some of the questions that people were asking in the
Let's do it.
comments?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Sure,
Okay, so the first question
good idea.
the brother asked, actually multiple of them were talking about anger, and they were saying that when they were doing NoFap, they noticed that they were getting very angry, very aggressive. What's y'all experience? What do y'all think?
Yeah, that's super common. First of all, if you're harnessing your sexual energy, you're just gonna have more testosterone, more fierceness. And one thing I recommend people who have anger is it's kind of a necessity. To have the guidelines that you need to do grounding and centering activities, whether it's meditation, prayer, taking walks, being in nature, yoga, just taking time to even sit and just feel how you're thinking, just taking time to unplug from technology. But lots of people on NoFap semen retention, they swear by the gym, they go to the gym all the time. That can make you even more angry because that pumps your testosterone even higher. So one thing that's integral is to do grounding and centering activities, even taking a walk, meditation, prayer, taking time to be silent, taking time to be with your emotions and just feel them, taking time to journal. those things are like a need that you need to do every single day, grounding and centering activities.
Yeah, as far as like being, what he said, he was being more angry. Was that
Yeah, just having more aggression, having
aggression?
more anger, like not being able to really deal with that.
Yeah, so I think it's important that he reflects and figures out that this is his normal level that he should normally be at, but his whole life he was fapping it away, and that's why he was so soft and like jello-y, right? So first find that out, right? This is where your normal levels of testosterone and energy should be at, and instead of controlling them and harnessing them and using them for a good reason, working harder in school and work and business and working out and all of these good things that this newfound energy could be put to, instead it was just being wasted in the bathroom. So then now you realize it's not like you got a boost of energy, but the whole time you were losing the energy. So now you're back at normal level. Figure that out, and then also like since you're
That's a
now
great
having
point.
a lot of energy that was normally being wasted, find ways that you can expel it in a proper way. Instead of expelling it in your toilet every single day, instead try to expel it in a way that could actually make you better and can help you grow daily. It's one thing to just stop masturbating and watching porn, but it's a whole different thing to use that to as a stepping stone, like we were talking about earlier, as a stepping stone to getting to a different sort of goal.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Another question is ask yourself why you're angry. And lots of times you'll be like, that's stupid or that's silly. Like, is it that big of a deal that I have all this emotions? So, really get to the core of what's causing this anger. And is it that actually something to be angry about? And one big thing about believing in God is there's really nothing to be angry about, because there's much more grand and massively more important and significant things than this
Yeah.
small little fight you had with someone. That's becomes insignificant
Yeah.
compared to the grandness of God. So put
Yeah.
what you're angry about in perspective with the infinite.
Yeah, I would add to this that, you know, you've been suppressing yourself this entire time. So now you have emotions, now you have all these things coming, you have no coping mechanism. So now you have to learn how to deal with these things. And
Yeah.
like you said, Alex, bro, like this is what the normal state is supposed to be. You're supposed to have all this testosterone as a man. So
Yeah.
you're telling me that you don't want to be aggressive. You're telling me that you don't want to have testosterone. You're telling me that you don't want to have anger that you can literally direct and use for whatever it is that you want to do. People don't understand that emotions, you can use them for whatever you want. You watch a motivational video, you get inspired. What do you do with that inspiration? You go and work out, or you go and do this thing. You literally just transmuted the energy and used it for something else. You can do that if you're angry. It's no different. And what guys have to understand is like they're literally cucking themselves. They are allowing themselves to be pussies. Like they're over here relapsing, and it's like,
Oh, I'm angry, so I'm gonna go relapse. Yeah.
bro,
It's like,
like
come on,
what?
bro. Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's your excuse for relapsing? Yeah. Because you're a little boy who can't handle his emotions. Yeah.
Come on, bro. Like step
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Full grown men over here relapsing. Like, look, I'm not gonna sit here and like talk badly, but come on, bro. If I don't say something, like who's gonna say it? Like you gotta be real with yourself. Like, bro, ask yourself this question. If you had a child right now, let's say you had a son and he was watching you and he was watching you beat off to other people getting off, would you be proud of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be sick, bro. I would throw up if I saw myself doing that. I would actually beat myself if I saw that. Not like beat off, but like I would, like, you know what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah.
Let's see what other questions we got. Someone asked about hair loss. They said, "Will NoFap help with hair loss?" What do you guys think?
No.
No.
Yeah, and I've never seen
It helps
any
a
like
lot with
studies.
things, but yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I
Look,
agree.
I think
Some
it's
people
important.
attribute everything to NoFap.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
NoFap cures cancer. It's like,
Yeah. I think it's important that we like make claims, because there are people that are looking for like NoFap people, NoFap communities and YouTubers to go and slip up so they can write an article about them like they did to your boy on the
yeah,
They made an
NPR.
article about you.
Oh yeah, I was not about me, about NoFap as a whole and NoFap.com especially, but I was
blog
the like
attacks.
I was the
Yeah.
like opening title of the NPR article. It was
Oh,
huge actually. I was the opening title. They said something like, nothing hurts me anymore. I'm so much stronger. I feel like this and that. And they just took a little clip out of my video when I was in the cold in Michigan. Um, and they were like,
Completely out
nothing
of
hurts.
context.
Says a 16-year-old YouTuber who says that NoFap changed his life. They're trying to make me seem like I'm some sort of like crazy. I'm like
Yeah.
totally delusional and like psychosis and all this shit. Like I'm under a spell. So it's important that we stick to claims that are like scientific, because there are pro porn people. It does exist, believe it or not. They may or may not be
Oh,
making
it's a
money under the
multi-billion
table.
dollar industry.
Absolutely. Do you
The
think that there is no money being
funding
exchanged and
research.
people being
Yeah.
pushing the opposite wave as us? We're doing it for free. We're probably losing money, but there are people that are actually making it, pushing the opposite because it makes them so much, bro.
Yeah.
So
Same
yeah,
with
as far as like
cigarettes
hair loss,
60 years ago.
unless you can get me a study or get me like tens of thousands of people that can verify and show before and after pictures and give me some sort of reasonable evidence, I won't believe it.
Man, all I know is that NoFap got me over here levitating and walking through walls, bro.
Hell yeah, bro.
I don't know about y'all. Nah, but
that's day 850. I haven't quite hit that.
yeah, it's level
Come on with it, bro.
850, bro.
You're at 700. Keep pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one day you may. There's someone asked if they were asking me if I found the root issue, but I guess we could ask that to all of us, right? Like, have you guys found the root issue as to why you guys were so addicted? I'll say yes, right? I'll say that it was the whole dopamine thing, like ADHD theory that I gave in the beginning. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree
Yeah,
to
I
that.
think
Go for it, Luke.
a large part of mine was that. Part of it was wanting a closer connection with God, and part of it was some just loneliness too. You know, just and back in the day, I used to really think that loneliness as craving women, which is part of loneliness, but also loneliness could be hanging out with friends more, a connection with God, a connection with nature, a connection, with yourself, and more feeling a separateness, whether from God, from woman, from just more working on that, putting myself out there more socially and building up a more connection in my life.
Same as I think as Luke, honestly. I was very, very lonely. I had both working parents, which I would not recommend that anybody does. I would come home from school. I'd sit home by myself. I did have the ADHD as I was like growing up. I wanted that quick dopamine, and honestly, yeah, there was a big void in my life. And I instead of getting the affection from my parents or my siblings that were always at school or always at work, I got that from pornography. That was my pacifier as
Way to
a
soothe
10 to
yourself.
13-year-old
Yeah.
kid. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
really came. I realized at the times that I was feeling lonely and a little bit sad and somewhat depressed, porn was the thing that I was craving the most during that time. It kind of became habitual in that nature where, hey, you're lonely. There's a way that you can feel less lonely. Just focus on this. It'll make you feel good for a good 5 minutes. Then you'll feel worse than before you even started. So that was mine. Was definitely loneliness. Yeah.
I guess the last question that we could answer here is not really a question. It was a statement made by someone. They said NoFap is BS. What would you guys say to this?
I
Do
always
you
say
think there's a cope?
I always tell people try it for 30 days. Find truth for yourself.
It's facts.
It's like we don't need to convince anyone, but try it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think,
I mean,
Alex?
honestly, like it's a very strange claim. NoFap is BS. Like, can you like he hasn't really substantiated his claim much. I see that a lot online. Oh, it's BS, bro. Like, are you? I can't tell. Is he saying that because he's such a Chad alpha male that he was never addicted to pornography in his life, or is he saying that because he's so addicted that pornography became his truth and now everything that goes against it is BS? Like, what's your motivation or claim by that? I don't know. It's very 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 idiotic.
Mm. Yeah, I would say that, I agree with what you both said. And I'll add to it and say that at the end of the day, not everyone has addictions, right? So the people who have addictions, if they are addicted to watching pornography, if they're over here beating off 6, 7 times, they will probably experience benefits quitting, right? If someone is addicted to smoking weed and they stop smoking weed, they will probably experience benefits. Now, you take someone who's not addicted and they're over here watching porn maybe like once a
That's a
month,
good point.
okay, they're not going to experience benefits because they didn't have an issue to begin with. But guess what? Even if this person were to choose to stop watching porn, that's better for him. Like, really think about it. You're beating off to other people having sex. Like, let me look up the definition of what a cuckold is. Actually, no, we don't even have to look that up. You guys, you can look that up
Yeah.
on your own terms, right?
Yeah,
A cuckold. You are a cuckold if you think this way.
yeah.
So, like, really,
Like if
like,
you were actually in the room while that was happening,
bro,
Sitting in the
imagine
corner
being in the
and
room.
everything.
Bro, imagine
there's
being in the
something
room.
about the
These people are
screen
having
that gives people
sex.
cognitive dissonance. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you're in the closet, like peeking out with.
Bro, you're in the
know?
closet. You just whacking off. Like, what?
Yeah,
Insane.
Nah, bro.
because of the screen, people get cognitive dissonance about how weird it actually is, like and how creepy and messed up.
Exactly.
I want to add one thing before we end. It's just kind of funny. My friend sent me a post. So Candace Owens posted on Twitter saying, "Ban pornography. It's a psychological weapon intended to weaken our men." Okay.
Hmm.
And then Cardi B responds to her post saying, "Oh my God, why y'all so against porn? Is it that bad for y'all? I enjoy it, but I don't know. I guess is like a 6 time a year thing. Space period. I personally don't feel no connection or addiction to it. Just a little quick 1 2 dot dot dot. Nothing like real intimacy." And then she said also to someone else's comment how it should actually teach men how to please a woman. Bro, I see, like, this is the like popular opinion, like, oh, it's no problem, bro, like it's not that big of an issue, like what's the problem here? I would formulate a response to a claim like this, but I swear, bro, Cardi B, she can't even formulate a proper English sentence for me to go and answer a claim like that. So it's so funny, bro. This is she, and also she was a stripper before she was a rapper, just so everyone knows. Of course she's not going to find an issue with it. She'd be a hypocrite if she
She
did,
raps
right?
about degenerate things.
Yeah, and she also raps about sex and basically pornography is what she's like rapping about too.
Yeah,
So if she goes and says that it's bad, her bot followers, the zombie sheep brain dead followers that she has, would probably stop watching her music. So it is kind of
she's in
funny,
deep.
bro. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's horrible
yeah.
that she's an influence on people.
Man, it's the truth though. It's really the truth. You know,
It makes
and
finding the truth more special. When all of society is against it, or people are so brainwashed and like, hey, I've figured out this truth. It's you're striking gold.
precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. I had other things I want to say, but I
Makes it more
completely
fun.
forgot them. Yeah, man. I guess we can end it off there, guys.
That was a
So
good talk, boys.
yeah, that
It was a lot of fun.
it
Yeah.
was real. I didn't expect it to like go into religion and everything, but I mean, I enjoyed it, bro. It was nice.
Well, that's NoFap needs the replacement. That's kind of like the natural. That makes sense. That's the
That's true.
natural
Natural
conversation
progression,
it
yeah.
went to.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it.
People need something to soothe their soul. That's what they're looking for.
Facts. So, is there anything you guys want to end off with?
Do you guys still make NoFap videos or no?
Every now and then. Every now and then.
I still some, not as much, but I still do.
Do you guys think the audience is still there for NoFap?
100%.
Like,
It's
there's
bro.
people
You
that
have
are trying
to
to watch
like
it.
ask the question, bro. Everyone. It's like asking the question: are people still having problem with watching porn, especially when porn is getting easier to access and getting even worse today?
Would you say that people are
I
like,
think now there's a lot more people talking about it. Well,
Yeah.
6 years ago there was just like 5 of us.
yeah,
So now there's a
Bro,
lot more voices,
I guess,
which is
bro.
good.
There's more. There's more. No, there's more than no. There's more supply. There's more people talking
okay,
about
I
it.
see.
But the thing is, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very truthful here, not to bash anyone who's on YouTube talking about it. But the thing is that we have to question the sincerity of people making videos about this. Are they making it just for the views? Because now it's proven that if someone does videos on NoFap, they're gonna get views. Like, or are they actually doing it because
Because
they
they want to help
genuinely
people.
want to help?
Yeah.
That's the real question that has to be asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel people can feel that from creators.
Yeah.
if they really pay attention. But yeah, there's some NoFap people having like super expensive coaching problems, and hey, if you have this porn addiction, I can for sure help you. Buy my super expensive program. And and there's vulnerable people who they're in a state of pain
Man,
and just want to find any answer they can.
I'm gonna be honest. That was me, right? Like at some point,
Okay.
I started selling it, but it's not that it didn't work. Like I helped a lot of
Well,
men overcome the
yeah,
addiction,
yeah,
but I've
yeah.
understood now that information should be free, but application is something that you can charge for because you're giving your time and energy.
It's fine to charge. Yeah, it's the energy
Exactly,
it's coming from. But some
exactly.
people are outrageously charging.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine to
yeah,
charge, and people value it more.
yeah. The
And
crazy thing
it's
is,
the
bro,
place
is
it's
when
coming
you
from.
you pay for something, you get access to it, and then you're like, oh, what the hell? Like this is like the most basic stuff. That's the worst, bro. When you've been played like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of scammers out there in YouTube and social
Yeah.
media and
All right, my bros. With this being said,
yeah. Thanks for having this on. This was fun.